I'd like to set the record straight. A lot of Southeast Asian players, fans, have been critical of me. Because I have been very critical of T1. They go to Singapore, you know? They trade out Jackie for 23 Savage, and roster drama is always heartbreaking. And then they bomb out of Singapore, but you know, they didn't have Master Cuckoo. And I didn't realize that at first. But then, first 2 weeks of the Southeast Asian Season 2 DPC, they lose to Boom and lower division promotion team Omega? I had my doubts. I had strong doubts. Were they the weakest team in Southeast Asia? And now here we are. Upper division, upper bracket. They beat Aster. They shellac Aster. And now they're ready to take on Quincy Crew. They've already qualified for TI. It's just glory on the line right now. Isn't that right? The bad guy. Duh.
Yeah, for the record, I said that Cuckoo not being part of the this team, he couldn't go to the major, right?
Correct.
I said on Dota Capitalist, who by the way is that thumb-looking character that you saw on the panel.
I'm familiar.
I said on his stream that Cuckoo, best offlaner in Southeast Asia, of course, because Ice is in North America.
Fair, fair.
Other than that, and you know, a team without Cuckoo is just going to be worse. I mean, he's the best. He's the best there is, other than Ice.
I wouldn't have guessed it. 23 Savage goes and buys a lucky buffalo. We had a chance to interview him. Are you superstitious, Effie? Because this man bought a stuffed animal and then proceeded to wreck shop in every single Southeast Asian DPC team. Is that something that you think is true? Is it that simple?
No.
Oh, okay. You don't have any rituals?
I mean, I have rituals, but it doesn't mean that they're true.
Oh, okay.
This is withholding information. There was a pillow scenario.
Oh, that's
yesterday.
True. This is true, actually.
I had a pillow, a blue pillow, and
Yeah?
Jenkins stole it.
No, that's a lie.
I saw it.
Tell the truth.
That's the truth. Where's the ritual in that?
Here's what happened. I said I threw it out in the garbage. I was lying. Okay, I was just making a joke, doing a bit, and it ended up that some person of large bodily contents sat down on a chair and pushed the pillow into the cushions. Which obviously wasn't me because I'm malnourished. Probably somebody else, and she was very worried about it, like a child that was lost, and she's.
Listen, there's something to be said for having.
But how's that a ritual? I just wanted to find my pillow, my blue pillow.
It's an object of comfort, an object of meaning, and on both sides. Actually, bringing it back is LOA. We asked him during NADPC why he changed his name from SVG to LOA, and he said he kind of, you know, doesn't want to reveal what it means because it's just something for him, and he'll do anything that gives him a 2 to 5% chance of getting being a little bit higher skill because he's more comfortable for whatever reason. And we were just like, yo, dude, that's a good answer, dude. You know, we don't care. That's a cool answer. He's just looking for any way to get an advantage, and if that's psychological, if you have an object, that's okay. You want to win at any cost. We're all human.
Both teams have their totems, Effie. Which one are you favoring so far?
Honestly, it's really hard to say because, like the panel just said, we don't have enough information to go off of. Each of these teams only played one series. I can't really tell you which one I think is better. There's just not enough sample size of games. But I can tell you that T1 2-0'd Aster, who were #1 in the Chinese DPC, which is insane because LGD was #2 there. So they had to be a good team. It's not like they fluked or played badly. They just lost to better teams.
I agree. And I think it's worth noting, it is 11 p.m. here, which means both SEA and NA are awake, so we have to be very careful what we say here.
I love
very careful.
SEA Dota.
I love NA and SEA so much.
You know what? I love Eastern Europe, Western Europe, North America, South America, Southeast Asia, and Chinese Dota.
I actually love South.
Oh my god, we have so much in common.
Do you also like EG, Nigma, LGD, T1, Aster, everyone who was playing in this tournament?
Wow, Effie, I can't believe you said Aster last.
Let me
you must not like Chinese Dota.
Let me be perfectly
so sorry.
unbiased. I don't want. I'm not BSing here. I like SEA a lot because the YouTube audience is 90% SEA. So I love SEA. YouTube is the only way that I live. They don't pay me for these events, obviously, given the quality of what I do. And then 2, NA is, of course, the region that I come from. So I don't care about any of the other regions.
We know about how much of a money pit North America is. That's why Quincy Crew is doing so well in this tournament. Showed up at Singapore, still unsponsored. Absolute travesty.
What's going on with that? Come on. There's like Gillette, you know, some brand.
Gillette did a South American team.
Wait, Quincy Crew, you saw their pictures. They need a Gillette sponsorship or like a glasses sponsorship because they all wear, I think Yawar wears contacts. We did ask him during an interview.
Okay.
So they could go for like a good glasses sponsor. And this has nothing to do with draft, I'm realizing.
Fine, you can talk about draft. You want to talk draft? You want to talk about that absolute barn burner of a series with no ping and how clumsy both teams looked?
Okay.
Yeah?
Sorry, I've been talking a lot. It's your turn.
Do you want me to talk about that series?
Yeah.
That was an entertaining series, and I was happy to watch it.
Very politically correct answer.
Okay. Let me be a little non-PC here. I think that, and I said this on the Fluff panel like 2 series ago. I think that I underestimated No Ping and I underestimated Quincy because Bulba came and I asked them and I legitimately was like, dude, what do you think about this No Ping team? Like, are they bad? And just is Quincy bad? Is NA bad? And then obviously today after EG beating TNC, it's like, well, no, NA's. I mean, TNC looked insane. I mean, they looked crazy good. So I think that No Ping just the 3rd game was crazy. I mean, that definitely was like nerves galore because of the TI prospects, I think. But I think game 1 and game 2 were just 2 high-skill teams playing against each other. So I would not count Quincy Crew out. I think they can absolutely take the series.
For sure. I think No Ping were unlucky with their bracket because out of all the teams they could have played first, they played a North American team who would know them better and would have played them more often. And we didn't really get a chance to see what they were made of. But at least it was an entertaining series. I think something they said on the panel earlier is pretty cool, which is that T1 has only played 1 series, but they already look so well adjusted to the meta. It's true. We were looking up T1's stats earlier, and Cuckoo's last Broodmother game was in 2017.
Before the Season 2 DPC.
Before Season 2 DPC. So he learned Broodmother just for this patch. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's cool to see that this is like the only direct-to-playoff team that looks like they have adapted the meta in their scrims in a way that has worked out for them in officials. And it seems like that just is an impossible storyline these days for whatever reason. I didn't believe in that narrative before, but then it's like 4 playoff teams getting knocked out. How can you, I mean, at a certain point, it's not coincidence.
On the flip side, most of those teams were already qualified for TI. So if you want to buy into the theory of saving... Okay, good. Yeah, no, I don't think that there's any real water to hold in that argument, especially at a major like this. Stakes are high, and you can save strats for TI, but it's not going to be the identical patch whenever TI rolls around.
Also, I don't think it's fair to the winning teams who played very well and outmaneuvered some of the more popular teams to say that, oh, they're already qualified for TI, they don't care that much. I mean, they do care. They're at a major. There's no way you don't want to win a major and you don't try.
We talked on the Fluff panel, once again, like 2 series ago, about this concept of the nature of a competitor, of a competitive player. And I think a lot of these players enjoy the process a lot, because if you didn't enjoy the process, I mean, it's hell. It's hell to be a tier 2 player for years, grinding through the qualifiers, getting knocked out. It's hell to get to the point that these guys are at. So you have to enjoy the process. And I think to assume that just because they're tier 1 players playing at events, I mean, it would be idiotic. It would make no sense to all of a sudden, oh, you stop focusing on the process.
Right.
How could that stop?
Yeah.
That is an integral part to somebody's humanity. You know, it's like that is what makes somebody them.
It's very much about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah,
And
otherwise they
even
couldn't make it here.
AUI spoke on it on the We Say Things podcast with Sunsfan and Cinderin, that they actually felt happier that EG that won TI when Secret lost, as opposed to winning TI, because Secret was their rivals. They were consistently going head-to-head against them. And then once they win TI, they're like, oh, okay, I mean, that's nice. And seeing Liquid, I remember Liquid's winning TI. I saw Matu afterwards, and he was just like, now what? what do I do now? Once I've already climbed the mountaintop, what more is there left? And so I haven't put too much credence into the theory that there's something to be said for saving strats, maybe like 5 levels of subconscious down. But here, T1 versus Quincy Crew, it's all on the line, and we have a draft already. Templar, Assassin, and Viper banned out by T1. Quincy Crew take out the Lion, Abaddon, and pick up an Enchantress.
Quincy Crew has used this Viper, abused this Viper, I should say, throughout the entire NADPC. They flex it between Lellis and Quinn, and they both do this Boots of Travel build. They play around it really well, and I think TNC as well as T1 also play with this Viper a lot and did a lot in the SEA region with it.
And all of a sudden, the Viper band goes up in value when they first phase a Dragon Knight.
Yep. Yep, that completely dumpsters that hero, like in lane and in game. You just break them, and then all of that, tankiness everybody talks about just looks pathetic.
And interestingly enough, when I was looking at T1's most successful heroes, Enchantress was the 2nd or 3rd in Season 2 of the SEA DPC. So it's nice that they snatched it away from them, but also secured something that they really like, which is strong lanes. These North American teams love to dominate their lanes, and they're very good at it. So I really hope that T1 drafts to win lanes as well, because every team that's gone up against Quincy Crew or Evil Geniuses so far at this major and didn't really think about their lanes had a hard time transitioning into the mid game.
There's always like one game where they lose lanes to some NA team, and it's okay. Maybe we need to put a little bit more focus on the lanes. I don't think they need to draft necessarily to win the lanes, but more so to not get dumpstered.
Yeah, not have losing lanes. That's pretty much.
Yeah.
And also T1 have some of the most mechanically skilled players in all of Southeast Asia. I think everyone on this team is a top 100 player. So it's pretty interesting to think that so long as they don't get dumpstered, they'll do just fine.
It's also worth mentioning that top 100 players in pubs, like the laning is probably the closest thing in pubs to a competitive environment, because it's not 5 people that need to all communicate with each other. It's just 2. If you're in a side lane for the most part, and if you're mid, it's just a 1v1. So mid's basically the same, and maybe you're communicating with like one position forward that's roaming or something along those lines. So it's very similar. It's probably the closest environment that you can get to like a competitive environment. So I imagine T1 will be very comfortable in laning, because that's how many people climb and win pubs.
This Luna pick seems pretty standard so far. It feels like it's quickly becoming one of the most contested carry heroes this patch. She farms so fast, her laning is strong, she hits the mid-game timing with her team, she can fight, she can split push, she can do what you need, so she's like a very valuable hero. But like Aoi said a couple of times before, something she does lack is single target burst damage, so I would like to see that be corrected in Quincy Crew's draft. The same way they paired it up with a Doom on Nigma, you need to pair it with something that just is completely tunneled on a single target, just so you can balance out Luna's AoE damage.
Yeah, so there's not just some hero that's like, if you don't burst me, I win, and then you just don't have the burst for that hero. Yeah, it opens you up to getting completely obliterated in the draft.
You look at T1. Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
Other roles have also been an issue. They ban out the Shadow Demon. I imagine Terrorblade's also going to be a ban out, because Luna does have answers, but her pairings are just as important.
Like I was saying, you look at T1, they have Dragon Tail, which is an incredibly good single target stun with the damage of Mortimer's, so they won't have to worry about bursting a hero like Enchantress.
And they have the DK's a beefy frontlining melee guy that would really love to be tossed into people. So with the cookie, this is like a double combo. You have the ulti combo and then the laning combo as well.
That's true, and he can also be gobbled up at some point and just thrown into the fray.
Yeah, that's like a super late item now, though, from what I'm seeing, just because the nerfs. Like, you don't get that many levels on Snapfire, and it's dependent on the ulti, but eventually you will get it, because it's just too good.
So the Shadow Demon ban makes sense, because you don't want to have a Shadow Demon against your Luna, because the offensive disruption is just so strong. And the Terrorblade ban to me is just, he's also a very valuable carry this patch, but something that is notable is he can match Luna on all of her timings, and he can farm just as fast as her, given that he didn't have a very hard lane.
And I think he'll win the late game too, because you just summon an illusion of Luna that's glaving her own team, which is very sad.
That's very sad.
And of course, if she pops her ult on you, you just sunder her and then kill her in one hit, which also is very sad.
So how important is it to ban out some 23 Savage signatures? Morphling, forced to be reckoned with in his hands.
I think you just should, because the guy's only spamming
saying.
Morphling and Spec in pubs. His last like 40 games are 90% Morphling and Spectre, and the guy's like ranked 3, so of course he's going to be able to play other things, but that's an insane amount of practice.
When the great confluence happened and all of these regions showed up on European leaderboards, do you know where 23 Savage?
That's where he was, ranked 3.
He was 3?
Yeah, he was 1 in Southeast Asia.
For sure, yeah.
And Abed was, it was between Abed and Quinn in NA, and Arteezy was in there, but they were kind of flipping in and out. But it was 23 Savage, yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, by the way, Tsunami, guess what? Jenkins was telling another pub story where, lo and behold, he was 1 and 17.
Oh, this is true.
With one of these Southeast Asian players. I don't know.
Who was it?
I don't know if I believe this.
Oh, okay. It was 23 Savage. It was.
Was it?
And he was on Spectre. He was on Spectre.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
You can see Quinn's going home alone on the screen now.
We took 2 sets of racks, and I was 1 and 17 on offlane.
No, you weren't.
And we threw. He was just like, just don't die. And I died right in front of the base, and we got thrown. And he wasn't mean to me. So
he's a
shout out
sweetheart.
to him. He's so nice, because I would have been shouting profanities at myself. His words were, "Please just don't die." And then I died. That was my 17th death.
Condolences to him. No one
Anyway.
deserves that.
Yeah, this is his hero. I mean, this is the guy that he's spamming. Echo Saber build, looking really strong against Luna and Enchantress. These are both kind of squishy heroes. You have enough agility to hit the Ench through the passive. And Luna, you just spawn Manta Illusions on her. It soaks up all of the Luna ult, and she's very easy to kill with the Scotty. I think this is, other than TB, the carry to 1v1 the Luna.
And something we were talking about earlier is how Quincy Crew so far does not have that high single target damage. And Spectre's a very durable hero who does need a lot of single target damage to be taken down. So she's a good pick in that regard. I also like this Tidehunter pick a lot because I'm learning to look at this hero a little differently after LGD's series today.
Yeah.
They picked him just so he could tank the Dragon Tail and the Lion Stun. So this hero can soak up a lot of these single target disables because this meta seems to be about these like fast stuns on one target, killing them very quickly. And Tidehunter is a hero that fits in really well.
That's true. That's a really good point.
He does a really good job of just frontlining and tanking it, and then someone like a Luna can go ham in the fight.
Even though he's insanely boring and has a super long cooldown, it's still like, yeah, that sounds invaluable right now.
What is the advantage that a Tidehunter has over, say, Mars, which is the most popular offlaner of the entire tournament?
Like I said, he's just very good at soaking up. Like he will tank this single target burst that they're going for, just so that someone on his team doesn't have to. And that's the way I'm starting to look at Tidehunter after LGD's series today, because he did a really good job at doing that for his box.
Yeah. So being able to shake off those stuns, it's not so much about the Ravage, it's just having a meat shield.
Yeah, exactly. No, that sounds totally right, because the thing is, like, a hero like Timber fulfills kind of the same role, but the DK stun is so long that you will die on Timber. But if you can just dispel it, no, that sounds insanely good. It doesn't surprise me that Tide's win rate has been going up on Dota Pro Tracker and other sources, and it makes sense with what you said.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of this Tidehunter throughout the major, just because he fills that niche so well.
It's like the only hero that can do that. Who else can do that?
And fighting so far in this meta just seems to be going in, all in on a target, disengaging, going back in.
100%, yeah.
So
100% agree with that.
I think we'll see a lot more of our Watermelon in the next couple of days.
Treant Protector, picked up by T1, used to be a Chinese specialty in Season 2 DPC. Great lane partner, and it seems like T1 are very, very interested in protecting the Spectre. They ban out ET, they ban out Necro, they ban out a break from Hoodwink. And now Quincy Crew, meanwhile, they're targeting these lane winners. Ban out the Batrider, ban out the Lina. Possible mid-lane opponents against a Death Prophet, perhaps?
So I would like to make a prediction here.
Please.
I'm going to go ahead and predict that this will be a last pick Broodmother from Quincy Crew with a rotation of this Tidehunter to be a position 5 with Enchantress 4 in the Broodmother lane.
That is a hot take.
Thank you. We'll be horribly wrong, as usual.
Why do you think so?
I think that's because they've ran the Tide 5 before. They run the Enchantress 4 a lot. They flex the Death Prophet as well. And I think it's a fairly free Broodmother game. I think you'll dumpster any lane combination between these heroes.
Bro, all these bans have been dedicated to protecting Spectre. They even take out the Undying, which I guess is also good against DK, as we saw earlier in the series with LGD.
Maybe this is a stupid prediction because
I like it.
They don't have last pick, but
It does, well...
I could see it. I could see it, but they're still lacking burst damage on the side of Quincy Crew. Maybe they just don't need it and they're all in on these long fights. But it would be nice to see a correction for that.
all right, I am an idiot.
It's okay, Jenkins.
That's almost a broodmother.
It's very close.
Because she's also...
Mother of Dragons.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Effie. Really appreciate the
I'm
bailout.
here. All right.
Do you have an equally spicy prediction for T1, Effie?
Not really. I don't have this
Okay, Jenkins.
amazing creativity
Go
that
for round
Billie
two.
Eilish over here has.
I believe that they will be last picking a broodmother.
Shifting the DK to 4 position? Oh, okay.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a micro hero.
Like a broodmother because he is a mother to the forest.
A tree father.
Yes, of course.
See, this is so interesting to me because we didn't see Nature's Prophet at all until yesterday when No Ping played it. And then we saw it today when Evil Geniuses played it. They were like, hey, this actually looks good again.
Yeah.
And then they probably watched that series. And they said on T1, why don't we just play it too? So it's really cool to see the meta just change over the course of a few series.
What's the incentive for the Nature's Prophet here? Are they looking to make space for the Spectre? Maybe rotate to DK's lane, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, take a tower?
I think he's just a very strong laner and has global presence and can keep lanes pushed out, which is going to be very valuable against Quincy Crew.
Have we seen him offlane this tournament? Because clearly they already have the Spectre for 23.
No, we've only seen 2 safe lane Furions.
And it was RTZ and HFN.
So the offlane natures feels kind of bad. The issue with that hero in the offlane is that the TP cooldown is so long now, and as an offlaner you want to be very active, and so the cooldown can actually cause you to not be able to show up to fights, and as a carry it's no big deal. As an offlaner it is a big deal. But with that being said, I think they want to avoid fights against this lineup.
I agree.
That's a lot of logic, but I just want to hear the biases. Effie, which team are you biased for? No. You can't think about it. I want the...
But here's the thing. I don't actually know how these teams look right now, so I can't be biased.
Just
ask
go
me,
off the
ask me after this game, and I'll
I'm
give
biased.
you an answer.
I'll tell you.
Ask me after this game, and I'll tell you
Okay,
which
fine.
team I like more. I just need to see more of them, honestly.
Imagine being analysts on an analyst panel. Let's send it to casters to cast this game number 1. Take it away.
Thank you, Tsunami. We got ourselves yet another SCA versus NA game, but unlike EG and TNC, these two teams are the only teams remaining in the tournament that we did not see in the group stage or the wild card. I'm here with OD Pixel. We haven't seen much from these guys yet. What do you think we're going to see in this game?
I think we're going to get a lot of action, Brian. We're going to get a lot of action and also sort of like the clash of two different approaches, as it seems to me. You know, from Quincy Crew, we very much have this group up and go. You know, their 5-man, their ability to run down lanes, to just brute force take fights is going to be rather strong in the mid game. Whereas with T1, I'm seeing a lot of sort of split push, you know, play the map, protect towers, whilst 23 Savage becomes this big, badass carry to bring them through in the late game. I mean, how do you think this is going to sort of, you know, meet together here between the two of them, Brian, and what do you like?
Well, Quincy Crew, quite frankly, I don't think showed us what they're capable of in their first series against No Ping. We saw some glimpses of what they want to do, but they were just a tad bit sloppy. So today I'm looking for them to be clean with this early group up lineup that's going to snowball and early momentum in the laning phase. And then T1 on the other side kind of just stomped both of their games against Aster. So I don't feel like I got to see much of their mid to late game decision making at all. And this time they've got the Spectre against the Luna matchup. So it's going to be a battle of hold the door for T1.
Absolutely. And as I say, they've got great means to do it. Cuckoo coming in with this profit to end the draft up. You know, he's going to be putting some insane map pressure on, and he's going to have backup to do it. You can imagine Carl, he gets an early mobility item online. He's going to be the man jumping in, leading the charge, starting the fights. Whitemon, once he's got the 6, he'll have that damage to really add up into those plays that they'll look for across the map in that mid stage of it all. But we'll see how we get the lanes matching up. Of course, down on the bottom, 23 Savage. He's going to be laning into the Leslau Tide and the MSS Enchantress. We'll have the backup of Whitemon. I mean, for the Spectre, is this a happy place for 23 Savage against these two, or is he going to feel some pain against Quincy Crew?
Yeah, it's not exactly a kill lane, but they do have a lot of constant harass. As you already see, they're spamming the spells to start, both going for the trade spell rather than potentially the enchant plus the gush. And that's an understanding that Spectre, you don't really have to worry about her killing you, but she's also tanky herself, so wear and tear is the name of the game.
And meanwhile, of course, over on the top half of the map, Cuckoo and Zephyr putting the pressure onto Yawar's Luna. Well, at the back of LOA here on his Wyvern. What do you make of this one in comparison? You know, how hard is the early game here for Luna?
Yeah, it looks like they're cutting down all the trees, but he's giving them the body, the Treant Protector. It looked like on paper it'd be an easy lane, but melee hero plus Nature's Prophet, as a carry player, that's one of my worst nightmares when I think of a lane.
For sure, yeah. Just having something right in your face. Cuckoo being able to offer in the punches, and we see Yawar, how they're doing on the regen in lane. They have got plenty of it. You've seen LOA's come to lane with 5 tangos and a salve, so he's going to have all the means to keep Yawar nicely topped up in that top lane. And of course, whilst this is all going on in the mid matchup right now, 7 for 3 on Carl. Quinn was seeing 6 for 0. So Carl just having that extra edge of the melee hitter here to get a few denies in against Quinn. Quinn doing his best to really exercise the pressure onto this DK. Carl has got the regen, but Quinn doing as much as he can to really just shove the lane and get it pushed underneath Carl's tower.
Yeah, I feel like the entire meta is now getting shaped by DK. Mid laners such as Death Prophet weren't seeing much play earlier on in this tournament, but because you need a hero that matches or even bullies the DK away from this tower pressure, Death Prophet's a perfect example of such, and because the popular heroes always shape the meta, I expect to be seeing even more of this hero moving forward.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and in this matchup as well, when you see these two mids, I imagine it's going to be incredibly static because, as expected, once the 6 is there, both are going to be eyeing up that opportunity for an early tier 1 tower. I mean, who does have the sort of the bigger tier 1 tower potential out of those two? Actually, meanwhile, top lane Yawar, is he going to be all right here? It will, only just though. We'll have the sound passed over. But yeah, mid-wise, you know, who can put on the most pressure the soonest out of these two?
I think these guys are kind of at a stalemate in terms of no one can bully the other away single-handedly, so it's going to come down to the early rotations. You have the Nature's Prophet off lane, one of the few cores that doesn't mind being in a different lane early on, because he can just TP right back to his own respective lane. But the Enchantress, it's all in on the towers for Quincy Crew because they're dealing with the Treant Protector. You can't afford to let him living armor those up. But for Carl, I'm expecting maybe 2 DK forms to add up to take down the mid tower for Quincy Crew.
No, for sure, for sure. And we see so far, you know, the 2 carries, it is at the moment, Yawar definitely having the slightly tougher time. They're 10 for 2 as opposed to the 16 and 3 that Savage has been able to get out at the bottom lane. Farm for the off lane is very equal though. Leslie and Cuckoo having just as equal farm out of the lane. It's just that mid lane really where we're seeing the biggest difference. And Carl just continuing to keep himself about a full wave of CS ahead of Quinn with a fair few denies thrown in there as well.
Yeah, purely based on the CS so far, I think Quincy Crew is not exactly going to be content in the near future. Maybe 3-4 minutes from now, they're going to have to ramp up the pace of this game because Spectre, if given the time, will reign the queen of the late game.
Yeah, I mean, that's in any game like this, you know, if 22 Savage just continue to get away with a good opening, solid mid game, what is actually going to be there to threaten him later on? Like what are the sort of the things that he's going to have to play around in the later stages, or is there just not really much at all? Is this a pretty good-looking Spectre game overall, even though the Spectre obviously was shown a little earlier in the draft?
I think it's just going to be the cooldown is what they're going to be able to punish. The fact that, yes, you have low cooldown heroes like the Nature's Prophet, but I think Quincy Crew can maybe even stagger their ultimate usage such that they can force out haunts and then look to take objectives. So rather than maybe countering the Spectre directly late game, because I don't think they have that, they can look to hit specific windows of weakness with the Spectre.
Just what I've been waiting for.
Well, I mean, and doing that, though, I definitely feel like it's not going to be too easy. We see bottom lane trying to get aggressive in onto White Mark. They've got the center underneath the tower. They'll chase him down. They'll get the first blood here. MSS and Lesla getting themselves a kill out of this bottom lane as getting Savage isn't easy. Top lane at the same time. Yawar continues to just be bullied away, really, from hitting the creeps here as Cuckoo continues to send the treants in upon him as they try and mess with the pull here top.
Just what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, if you guys haven't been watching too much of the tournament and you're curious as to why this Enchantress is getting picked up first pick, that is exactly why. We just got done seeing MSS pressure the mid lane. Didn't quite get in position with the Centaur, but you saw the threat that he was putting on the DK and immediately rotating to the bottom to get a kill on the support. And as long as he's missing in the enemy jungle, he's got all the ward vision that he needs. He can be a threat on both these lanes at once, and it just changes the way everyone has to play, and he has complete, like, nobody wants to be here. None of the supports can contest him directly. Quinn might be able to pop Exorcism, but let's see.
And they're going to have a bit of an attempt here. Carly's going to pop the Dragon Form, immediately TPs away as soon as the Exorcism comes out. Same for Whitemore. They don't want to deal with Quinn whilst the ult's up. He's going to swing over towards the mid on the DP, but Zephyr's here to help try and push Quinn away. He's not having a lot of luck with it, though, because the damage between the two of them here, it's going to be one more hit. Can he quite get it out of the way? He can't. Zephyr back into the trees. Zephyr will be able to sneak away and does manage to survive. So all things said and done there, T1 able to very much limit what Quinn's able to do here with this Exorcism as they manage to successfully disengage. And Quinn, he's rather low. Whitemont won't find him. And of course, with the skill build, does indeed have the points of the Shredder, nothing in the blast, so it doesn't have the nuke damage to threaten Quinn. Until though Quinn's going to have to back off, and yeah, first round of the Exorcism, nothing's going to be happening. The kill is there down bottom as Leslau and MSS. I mean, again, MSS here on this Enchantress, definitely putting that extra pressure in onto this bottom lane. Those first two kills both going down to his involvement.
Yeah, as long as you're full health on the offlaner against the Spectre, you're going to be able to be aggressive with virtually no items, especially when you have an Enchantress. I think Leslau has learned very well from the mistakes of other people this tournament that you go that early ring of health, you sustain up, 23 Savage constantly being pressured. I think that's a sum of multiple points of pressure that all added up into that one death.
Absolutely, and now with level 6, as you say, that ring, it's very hard to pressure Leslau out of lane. They've brought Zephyr down here as well. See if they are able to make anything happen. I mean, if they do, Leslau, I guess, yeah, not quite having the mana to threaten a Ravage. Well, the 3 heroes down, I mean, can they do anything about the Tide? They're looking for it. They're going to start having a bit of a poke, and it's hard. He's pretty tanky. They'll get him in the trees, and okay, there we have it. That was what was missing, the extra bit of damage boost here from Cuckoo. As Cuckoo's able to throw in a Nature's Wrath, and that will get the job done. As T1 are able to bring together the damage to get Leslau out the lane and get 23 Savage a bit more space down here.
Yeah, I think Nature's Prophet helps round off the draft for T1, but you see here, LOA, he's perfectly content being underneath tower, soaking up the XP and also clearing the trees, getting himself a decent amount of farm, and this is what they have to do on T1. You cannot allow the opponent 5 position to relieve that much pressure, but Quincy Crew, in return, MSS already rotating the mid, the Wildkin creep, giving the aura to their other creeps, and they should be able to get a trade here. Doesn't seem like T1 wants to respond.
No, this is it seems like a very early sort of tier 1 tower to just let go. You know, you don't usually see teams sort of just concede their tier 1 as freely as is being done so by T1 in this situation. But yeah, indeed, the mid tower taken out there. Big objective for Quincy Crew. Bottom lane, T1, they've got their focus on trying to take Leslau out again. This time round, LOA comes in with the backup. And Savage, well, 23 Savage, he's going to go for the TP out. Leslau doesn't have vision, so won't know for the Ravage. As 23 Savage is able to reset himself over towards the mid lane, look for the farm. We've got Quinn and MSS wrapping around top. They're on the hunt for Cuckoo here. They do have the ensnare from the Dark Troll Summoner to help trap him. So Cuckoo do his best job to escape. They should have the man here. I don't think he's going to have too many options for a TP out, and he doesn't indeed. Tries for a TP, but with the ensnare there from MSS, there's no escape for Cuckoo.
Yeah, I can't tell if that was a miss micro or just a sick courier foresight by MSS to fly that over the Sprout for the vision to use the troll net. That was pretty sick. I'm going to assume it was the latter, just because I do have respect for him as a highly skilled player.
Was, yeah.
But, that's pretty crazy. That's the little things where, isn't he busy microing the creep? I would be.
No, that's some big brain stuff there from MSS for sure. Absolutely, very impressive stuff here. As it's showing on his KDA, 201 MSS causing a lot of havoc. And we'll catch him here with a TP. He's going to do his best to escape this. He's able to get the slow off on Carl. We've got the dagger coming in. I mean, MSS, he's just making the space here. He's got pretty much 3 cores looking towards him. We'll go for the TP out. Carl will be able to put a stop to it, as MSS will get burnt to a crisp here by Carl with the Breathe Fire, as they finally get rid of that Enchantress that's been causing so many issues across the map for T1.
And bottom tower now. They are busy top, as you said, space made. A lot of times we'd be memeing about that, but
Yeah.
that's the whole idea of space. Distraction on the opposite side of the map, and this is against a Treant Protector who is elected to not put a single point in living armor. I was under the impression the point of his hero was to slow down the Death Prophet Luna momentum, but he's mainly going for the wave clear and laning presence of the Leech Seed.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he does, you know, just Zephyr continues to max out those two skills, or if he does fancy to take a point. But I mean, maybe they just feel that they just, against this push of Quincy Crew, these towers are going to go down nevertheless. So, yeah, and they certainly are. Already, we've seen these 2 tier 1 towers taken away. You know, T1, they're not too far behind though on the objectives. Of course, top tower has been taken, the mid tower sitting rather low. So if Carl's able to get another push through, once the Elder Dragon forms back up, he should be able to secure that mid tower. 1300 dagger towards the blink on the DK. See over on the side of Quincy Crew, Quinn very close to having his Yule's Scepter complete. It's T1, they have got the 6 on White Mom. So they do have that damage potential to be able to burst some of these heroes. So it will become rather tanky later on. On the network we see farming away quite happily. Yawar up there. I mean, all 3 cores of Quincy Crew currently sitting in that top spot. Now, it's definitely still a bit of a catch-up game that T1's got to pull together. You know, Quincy Crew 3k lead at the moment, 12 minutes in. But at the same time, I guess this is the sort of lead that Quincy Crew's lineup kind of needs to secure up, because they do want to play a little bit faster.
Yeah, absolutely. As it's basically 4 Protect 1, where Luna is supposed to hit this ridiculously absurd timing around 20 minutes where she's going to have 2 full items because she farms so fast. And if you think about the playmaking potential for T1, it's just not straightforward until the DK blink. And even then, you're going to have MSS Enchantress on your side of the map that you are most likely going to have to avoid somehow when you're smoking, as well as the Leslau Tidehunter. It's just really difficult as long as Quincy Crew remains positioned properly on the map for them to get the target they're going for.
Smoke up from Quincy Crew. It's Quinn. Oh wait, they're on the hunt for one of these cores. They don't want to go for Carl. They're going to try. They're leading in onto the DK. They've got the Siphon going. Leslau's coming in with the slow of the Gush. Carl, he's not got any way out of this one as the force around him. Carl taken out in the mid as Quincy Crew catch him out and continue to be able to push back that blink dagger timing here on the DK.
Yeah, this is the Quincy Crew I wanted to see the other day. How they are. This is the game plan that they have perfected over the course of many years. Usually Yawar's on either some hard farming carry, or he's on the likes of a Drow or a Luna, where they're not aiming to go for very much longer with this farming period of the game, but they're happy to just make these little kill plays, grouping up temporarily, but they're not expending any ultimates, and they're going to go back to playing the efficiency game in little duos of pressure, as you're seeing here.
MSS and Quinn, they're able to catch out Cuckoo. They really are just continuing to take anything. You've got to be so careful if you're T1 playing against Quincy Crew. Any sort of slip-ups and they're immediately on top of you.
Yeah, we're gonna know when this is ending based on Yawar's queued up items here. He's not going for the full Manta. At least he doesn't plan to as of yet. He has the Yasha, then BKB planned out. So that I would guesstimate that is about the 20-minute mark that he'll get both of those items. That'll most likely be a smoke into a Roche with the next Death Prophet ultimate, into an Aegis that takes all the outer tier towers, maybe a lane of Rax. That's the game plan, the Quincy Crew. If they will be content if that is what the pace of the game looks like in the next 6 minutes.
I do like the attempts there from Cuckoo to try and disrupt Yawar's farming. We did see he was leaving sort of the treants scattered around the camps, trying to block some of the spawns, and was able to take away sort of round the triangle there from Yawar. So Cuckoo trying his best to slow that farm down. We'll see the jump hit. To reveal themselves onto MSS. Damage at the kisses. They will be able to take him out. As T1 get the kill, but again, you know, MSS, definitely not the highest of priorities. As much as an issue he was causing them, it isn't one of those big old cores. You know, T1, ideally, they want to find more than just an Enchantress.
And he did block the Ancients there with a Treant, so even though they did position perfectly on the map from Quincy Crew, as we talked about. That's why NA loves our Enchantresses and Abaddons, because while we're farming, we need that support to tank the gank for us, and they did that properly, but that gank is tanked so that Yawar can farm the Ancients from the 15 to 16 minute mark. All the big camp as well as the Ancients were blocked, so I think this is going to make them feel the need to, hey, we got nothing else better to do, let's go now rather than later. And the Roche map control part's going to be a bit earlier than I expected, and that means that the BKB is going to be as a result of the lead that they gained during the Aegis farming period.
There we go. They go for a steal at T1. They've got their eyes on it. 23 Savage is ready to head in. Okay, he decides against it at the last moment there. Doesn't want to throw away his life at a chance of going for the steal. It's Quincy Crew, they get the space, they've got the kill. Yawar's going to be able to pick up the Aegis. DD rune as well. Quinn's just going to take it here for a quick bottle refill. Quincy Crew continue to amp up this expected group up and go that they've drafted for. Overall, though, 3K, you know, that 3K's been there for a while. You know, T1, they are keeping themselves at a steady pace behind them. They're not slipping any further behind that of Quincy Crew. Whitemon will get caught out, but 23 Savage cleaning up these Ancients. He is closing the gap on the Spectre, and if T1 can sort of weather through a few fights against Quincy Crew, get themselves on top of an opportunity, there's still absolutely a world where this Spectre becomes a big sort of late game terror here for Quincy Crew.
Yeah, sometimes we talk about how many fights a team needs to come back into the game. I think this is a game where they only need one fight, but it is going to be incredibly difficult to get that one fight because they have severe damage issues on the side of T1. If you look at their cores, they have Spectre, DK, Nature's Prophet, none of which are super well known for doing damage. And then Quincy Crew has double healing supports and 3 super tanky cores once the Luna gets that BKB. So I'm not too optimistic for their chances here, but if they can catch Quincy Crew a little off guard, that will blow this game wide open for them.
Oh, Savage there, living on the right on the edge there as he walked down that lane. Not quite able to get the grab on him though, Quincy Crew, as 23 Savage does keep to the side. Quincy Crew just completely grouped up around this area. T1 have to be very careful how they approach and how they sort of step out on the map. Carl just trying to find himself some space up top, building his BKB neck, starts to blink. Savage, of course, still just working on that Manta after the Echo Saber. So he's got a bit of a means to get out against some of this control, some of these silences that they're going to be able to throw out upon him in the action.
Yeah, I really like the plan that Quincy Crew had coming into this draft. It's just so hard for DK to ever want to blink stun any of these cores, especially the supports even. As nice jewels by Quinn.
Cuckoo, no way out of this. Another catch for Quincy Crew.
And you are
as well. I mean, he's just doing it on his own. He's doing it on his own. He don't need any backup down here. I mean, they are just picking up the kills left, right, and center now. Very careful moves here from Quincy Crew.
Yeah, this is proof that the NA playstyle works on the international stage. Like for me, I'm watching this game, and this is exactly how I know these guys love to play. And the Aegis allows Yawar on a hero that's not traditionally independent to make plays like that, where if he waits on that hill and he sees 2 or 3 heroes, he's not all that concerned because his team will be able to connect to him by the time he has a second life in a fight that he would be fine to take. And now that lead is extending, and that's what this first Aegis is all about. 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, just the ability to be as split up as they are across the map here, Quincy Crew is definitely showing with the space and farm that they're able to clean up without T1 apparently being able to do too much about it. We'll see down bottom Carl. He's on the retreat here, Yawar. He's going to run him down a little bit. Carl's got the backup, and so's Yawar. Quinn and LOA both in the neighborhood. If a fight kicks off, Exorcism and Winter's Curse ready to go. They don't have the Eclipse, but of course even without that, the other spells alone should be enough to get some of these kills. Even the DK if cast steps too far forward, but Carl, he's out of it. Doesn't want to get involved in the action that the Quincy Crew are bringing. And his effort, trying to slow down the action down bottom.
Yeah, this is a really cool move. As you see DK, you see the mode that T1 is in. DK's even ulting just to clear creep waves with that level 12 splash damage. Nice blink from Carl, and Treant Protector, he would not clear that wave quick enough. Quincy Crew looking to force down objectives. You see the pipe on the Tide, the BKB from both of the other two cores. They want to ram it down a lane, and that just dragging the creeps to the side is such a high level play, because if he doesn't do that, that's almost guaranteed to be a tier 2 down.
Oh, Cuckoo. I found him, Quinn. Coming in, leading the way after they come through with the smoke, because Cuckoo, there's no saving him. Quincy Crew, what do they want to look for next? Still a tier 1 tower sitting on the top lane. 23 Savage has been pushing out this half of the map, though, so hard to really get things together for a full-on push. And yeah, as we're seeing, you mentioned Zephyr, and outside of that, heroes like Cuckoo and heroes like 23 Savage, they're going to constantly be farming aggressively along these lanes. They've got multiple ways to continue to cut creep waves and just mess with any sort of opportunity that Quincy Crew will look towards to utilize their lead that they currently sit at. And we are seeing that, 21 minutes in, the 4K lead, I mean, it was 3K about 10 minutes ago. It's barely changed because of how much T1 is doing to just try and slow down Quincy Crew as much as they can without ever really showing their faces directly in front of Quincy Crew's lineup. Yeah,
we saw TNC win many a games playing the split push-esque play style that I'm seeing similar out of T1, and we haven't had to see them play this yet, as they had commanding leads in both of their 2 games so far in the major, but this is really good stall by them. They did not get what they wanted out of this Aegis on the side of Quincy Crew. They extended their lead slightly, but not a single tower, at least that I can tell, was taken during that time. And the Spectre, he's got Manta, Echo Saber already, and more items. Once he gets to that Scotty, you have 2 ranged cores that both rely on the healing from their supports. It's going to be crucial.
Bottom lane, Cuckoo. They won't get the tower. We're going to see the Horn come out as this time around T1, they're ready to fight. The little was lower. Lower's going to be able to hold back the Spectre momentarily here with the Windsor's Curse, but he's still going to go down. They'll find him down on the bottom lane. Cuckoo in return will fall as he has no route of escape. But a bit of a punch back there from T1. Sure, it's just a support for a core, but a trade is a trade. And again, as you say, T1 very much bringing out the very smart approach to how to deal with exactly what Quincy Crew is trying to do. I mean, I guess the question is now, Brian, for Quincy Crew, when you sort of feel that the way that T1's playing against you, what do you do? Do you have to amp it up? Is there certain items they have to work towards to make sure that their push is going to come in at a pace that the split push isn't going to be able to contest? Like, what do you do against a team that's playing this smart against you?
So it's potential that they win a little bit too hard on the teamfight items, because when you go teamfight items, that's under the assumption that you're going to be able to force the fight you want. So items like this blink on Leslau are the start to, you have to be able to start picking people off and forcing them to engage on you.
Oh, look at this bottom. They're going to get the jump in. Leslau's going to put the Ravage, but Whitemon from the side. He's got the kisses coming in. Quinn going to put the BKB, get out of the side, keep himself healed up with the Siphon. Carl turns his attention over towards Leslau. They bring down the Tide. The Tide will fall, and T1, they're ready for more. The cookie in, Carl jumps in over onto LOA. LOA's gone. MSS Jawar and Quinn, they've got to back away. They're in onto Quinn. Quinn's going to turn with the use to hold back the DK. He's going to try for the TP out. They've got enough damage, they do. That's Quinn gone. As T1, their patience and their approach it's just got this game to the point where I don't think Quincy Crew's as far ahead as they kind of needed to be with this 5-man push and go. This, losing 3 heroes like that, T1 losing nothing in return, that is the sort of fight that when T1's the team with the Spectre, you're probably feeling a little concerned if you're Quincy Crew.
Yeah, if there were 7 deadly sins in Dota, I believe one of them would be showing your carry on top tier 2 and the rest of your team on bottom tier 2, especially against a lineup with global presence from the Spectre as well as the Nature's Prophet. TNC sees this and shuts that down immediately. Collapse on the bottom lane with 5 heroes ASAP. They get the superior numbers, force out the Ravage. Quinn didn't even want to use his Exorcism there, and suddenly things are looking real dire for the Dire.
No doubt about it. 23 Savage, he's gearing up. He's still a little bit behind that of the farm of Jawar. Catching up as a whole, as a unit here, it's absolutely being done. T1 leveling the board now in terms of net worth difference. We'll see there again this last fight. I mean, They're amping themselves up, they're hyping themselves up, and understandably so. This is just some very smartly calculated Dota here from T1 in response to what Quincy Crew is trying to do against him. Kuku even having a bit of a giggle there. As, well, there we have it. Certainly feeling in the moment here, T1. Excellent to see themselves in such a happy place here, and I think they know that this 23 Savage Spectre is going to be going to a pretty nice place here with the last few fights they've made. Quincy Crew, they're coming in with a smoke. Another bad fight here from Quincy Crew. It is really, really going to hurt them. Quincy Crew's got to get something done here.
Yeah, it looks like there was just this period of peace where Quincy Crew was content farming, but you can see how, like, the nature of the pins and needles that they were operating on, because the one time they break formation, T1 just punishes it so hard. You're just waiting for them to eventually capitalize, and because of this loss of momentum, Quincy Crew is going to rely on that second Aegis, and I believe that is going to be their last chance to really close out this game in the timing that they need. They won't be able to end it most likely, but if they can get 1 or 2 lanes of racks, that will kind of mitigate the split push pressure that the Nature's Prophet's putting on, that's constantly forcing them to split up, which is allowing them to also get the superior numbers in these engagements from T1.
15 seconds and Roche back up. So Quincy Crew, they'll set up for this one. You can definitely expect T1 will probably want to have something to say about it. 20 seconds until Haunt's back up for Savage. Bottom lane, Carl getting away with this tier 2. Very close, really. I mean, about 2/3 of the way, pretty much, towards the Aghanim Scepter after the Blink BKB. So he is also going to be quite the threat in the team fights. Going to start with the Roche now. Has been scanned out by T1. See if T1 can do anything about it. Kuku's going to come in to try and get some vision, but immediately Leslau's in with the blink over towards him. Kuku goes for the BKB and the TP out. But the curse is there. LOA able to put it down to the TP escape from Kuku. They will run him down. I mean, this is a kind of space away from Roche here. They will pop the Ravage. Zephyr gets caught. Yawar's going to come in with the BKB and the Eclipse. 23 Savage jumping around the team fight, but he's coming to the Eclipse. He's got to back off. Taking heavy damage here from the ultimate of Yawar. They've got the Yours control. Savage is going to end up dying, as this ends up a complete catastrophe here for T1. Now, what starts was sort of Kuku just trying to check out the pit. He could have got out with the BKB, but I guess they felt they did have to try and fight. They didn't want to just lose Kuku like that. But 23 Savage committing him with that Haunt, that hurts big time. It's Quincy Crew, they're back on track. A solid team fight win, the Roshan will be theirs. This is exactly what they needed to try and regain that momentum that they were starting to lose control of.
Yeah, I thought Kuku was just going to force out some ultimates, be willing to sacrifice a BKB charge and a buyback just because Nature's Prophet's so good at rejoining the fight. And I think after he died, he realized, wait a minute, that's just an Exorcism Death Prophet. I do not want to buy back into that. But then T1 decided to commit anyways. I have to believe there's a little bit of miscommunication there. That's the nature of this game. If T1 catches them out of position, Quincy Crew is going to lose all the momentum. However, if they try to fight into Quincy Crew and take the wrong fight, that's what it's going to look like.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and now, looking at some of the items coming up, Yawar, he's probably going to want to get his Skadi done before they do go for the next push with this Aegis. Over on the mid, Leslau, he's stepping right up here for the creeps. He's feeling confident. And Whitemon, Carl, Zephyr, and Kuku, they'll have something to say about this one. He's very, very tanky here, Leslau, with the plate mail and the pipe of insight. Is he going to be tanky enough to buy enough time for the rest of the team to come over? They're heading in, but Leslau will go down. As now, Carl, he's ready to try and look for more. He's over towards LOA. Sentry's been dropped. This Glimmer, his attempted escape is not going to save him whatsoever. As LOA will get left behind, we won't see Quincy Crew throw any more lives away in an attempt to turn this around. As T1 able to punch back after it's just some very confident posturing there from Leslau as he sort of steps up to the Radiant high ground on the mid lane.
Yeah, if there's such thing as bluffing in Dota, that's what Leslau was doing there. His whole team was missing, and he says, well, they could all be behind me. T1 doesn't know that, and just assumes that T1 won't have the audacity to go on him, but that's a Ravageless Tide. Even if his entire team was behind them, they could just walk away if they saw the reinforcements. So really good patience by T1 to not overcommit, waiting for Tide to be low enough that they could, and you just got to be careful. I like that kind of play. It's a very SA-esque playstyle from Leslau, but it can get punished if the opponent calls you on it.
Absolutely, yeah. T1 not going to let that one pass in front of them whatsoever. He sees the opportunity completely. As, again, starting to swing the game flow back in their favor. Still a lead here for Quincy Crew, but not quite as big as it was once they took that Roche. Quincy Crew, they're out with the smoke. They want to make something happen. Yawar's got the Scardy done. Of course, still a good couple of minutes left on the Aegis. Quincy Crew, who can they find? Savage. Start moving over towards the triangle, but as soon as he catches wind of Quincy Crew's presence, he will do his best to not get caught, not get involved. So he has to step back. He's now ready to threaten with the Ravage as well. It's Carl. Carl will show mid. Now, can they commit onto this DK? Oh, not going to quite be able to get the grab there. Carl is out with the blink before they can get any damage instances upon it.
They do have the catapult, though. That at Nature's Prophet ulti would normally clear the creep wave, but that's going to be enough to get the back door lowered.
So being very cautious. You see Savage immediately heading over to grab the next creep wave. He's going to miss one of them, though. One will still pass through.
That's a clutch fortification, clearing the catapult. They should be able to clear this one creep if they have to. It may be good enough for Quincy Crew to get the tier 2, but you're dealing with living armor, and even if you get that tier 2, you're not getting this tier 3 in lane of Rax from this.
Still just these little things from T1. Slowing down each and every move from Quincy Crew to the maximum.
Yeah, it's so important. Every time they do these things, the Treant Protector bottom, the cutting of the creep wave by 23 Savage there, it's an extra 30 seconds. Creep waves spawn every 30 seconds, and every time you do this maneuver, just buying more and more time, and that's exactly what their lineup needs. Excellent evasive maneuvers by T1. They had that one poorly chosen fight, but aside from that, I can't really point out any mistakes that they've made, and they're still down by 4K, so that speaks to the early presence of Quincy Crew's lineup. And this is a game where when Quincy Crew's up by about 5K at this point, I would consider it dead even.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think, yeah, I mean, if anything, you know, it just sort of makes you ask more questions what actually did happen in that moment when that mistake was made around the Roche bit. You know? As you say, you would probably put that down to some sort of miscommunication, you reckon?
Yeah, usually they talk about how they would take the fight, and then they're not sure if they could take the fight, and then it looks like they're going to take the fight, and then two different people have a different interpretation of whether or not they're supposed to take the fight. It's a pretty hard occurrence to avoid happening, and T1, relatively 23 Savage, newer to the team, could just be something that over time will be hashed out. But either way, the overall macro gameplay of the team, they clearly are on the same page. They're building the right items. Nature's Prophet going for the BKB AC. You can tell that they're itemizing to eventually be able to 5-man against Quincy Crew.
Yeah, no, they really are. But again, you know, that whole sort of last minute of play, you know, Zephyr just being on that top half of the map in the trees. You know, the whole 5-man of Quincy Crew are sticking together, having to go for him. It's just constantly sort of space created by T1. A lot of time wasted. And the Quincy Crew is furiously struggling to deal with. They want to get action. They're going to look for Cuckoo. The BKB is going to go for the TP out as... I mean, I get
vision.
But I guess, wait, did they cut the, what, he didn't have vision for the curse, or what happened there?
Yeah, I have to assume he was trying to walk into the trees. I think, does he have the shard on Nature's Prophet? Oh, he does not. I don't know what happened. They cut a tree and somehow couldn't see him, because he would have 100% cursed
yeah,
for core
yeah, I was going to say,
it
looked like a surefire curse, but yeah, not happening. I guess, yeah, it must have not had the vision, as you say. Must have been just...
They know he has no BKB.
See if they can get him here. They probably will. As Cuckoo, is he going to have any backup? No, they'll let him fall. So they might not have got him bot, but this works out just the better for them anyway. They get the kill and not needing to utilize the ult of the curse.
As we see in this replay, they happen to cut the one tree that nobody was in the line of sight to be able to utilize. Was that actually what it was? Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I feel like they covered every other tree.
Yeah. Oh, well. As I say, yeah, all things happen for a reason, and yeah, they got the kill at the end of the day. They didn't even need the curse up top, so it works out in some sense here for Quincy Crew. But of course, for T1, yeah, they'll tell you that that's just more time and more space, taking a little longer for these little kills. As Quincy Crew, they're constantly sort of sweeping around at this 5-man. but we're just not seeing them get anywhere close to the base of T1 still. It's so hard for them to actually set up for these moves as T1 just continue to stall out to perfection, really, here.
Yeah, they just have amazing side lane heroes with the Tram Protector as well as the Nature's Prophet, and even the DK with the Ag's free pathing can pop his ultimate to clear a lot of creep waves, and they can't afford to separate on Quincy Crew. We saw what happened when they did that before, so they're just not able to push out the lanes nearly as efficiently as T1, and even though they got the kill on Cuckoo, because they missed the opportunity in the river, which was pretty close to a maybe desired objective in the tier 2 bottom, they were on their own side of the map, so they spin the entire death timer of Cuckoo, fixing their lanes to get back to the other side.
I mean, it just feels, it's like, what do you do if you're Quincy Crew? They're trying to do so much, and T1's just not letting it happen. We might see them bump into each other here. They're going to get the jump on a 23 Savage, but immediately Savage, he's out with the Haunt, he's off to the side, they can't quite find him. Whitemon starting to kick him with the kisses. Carl jumps in, gets straight on top of the Wyvern. That's going to be LOA gone. Now looking over towards MSS. They'll get the catch on a Cuckoo at the side, but Cuckoo will try with the TP out, won't make it. Physical damage is there. They'll bring Cuckoo down. Carl, Savage, Zephyr looking towards Leslau. Leslau going to pop the Ravage. Carl and 23 already out to the side. They'll find themselves a second here, Quincy Crew. Can they get anything more though? Carl even has a bit of a look back in here with the Dragon Tail onto Quinn. But knows that these three, they don't quite have the damage to take him down. So Quincy Crew, they get 2 kills. Exorcism is, however, going to come to an end, though. So it's going to be another sort of situation. They got the kills. What can they do objective-wise? In terms of fighting, it's still going on. Zephyr and Carl, they're going to jump onto MSS on the backlines. 23 Savage, he's ready to go again. He's moving in onto the Enchantress. Jawar, he's going to do his best to try and push 23 Savage away, committing as the Luna onto this Spectre. They'll force 23 Savage out to the side. 23 Savage is able to break out. Zephyr using the Overgrowth. I mean, it just seems like constant distraction as the bottom lane creeps. They're pushing in. Quincy Crew, they will be able to pick up another kill onto Zephyr, but that time they spent trying to kill Zephyr, it's given time for Whitemon and pretty much Cuckoo to get back in the game. So kills are had, but still objectives, they're not being taken.
Yeah, their primary source of catch is the slows coming out from Leslau. I would like to call him Les Teasy for that last blink onto the cliff there, that he sat around watching his team chase after people, and maybe they were able to get a core if he hadn't done that. So a little bit unfortunate. Stuff happens, but give him a little tip, friendly tip from the teammates as they're all going to laugh it off. You know, it's just a major. It's going to be fine. They were looking towards the next Roche. It's going to be spawning. They know up right now.
And we'll take it down nice and quickly here with UR's build. Butterfly Scardy, he's got the damage to boot. We'll see T1. They are going to set up to try and contest this. They have struggled the last few times. See Quincy Crew actually stepping outside of the Carl, he's going to jump straight in onto Quinn. They're going to commit immediately onto the Death Prophet, Quinn. Be able to get the Yules off. Does still have a BKB and a cheese here, Quinn. BKB holds his ground, pops the BKB. Exorcism back up in 15 seconds.
He's dead.
They brought down Savage. That's the Spectre out and down. 23 Savage without the buyback. This is a hard fight now for T1. Quincy Crew, can they get more out of this? 5 versus 4.
They have to be careful. They don't know Spectre.
Sprouted and held back. See LOA getting jumped on the backlines here by Whitemon and Carl. They won't have enough damage to commit upon him. Whitemon, he's going to go for the Invis TP out, but they've found it. Dust is out. They have the Yules ready to go. So they'll cancel the escape of Whitemon, take out the Snapfire. With those 2 kills, Quincy Crew, they'll have the power to head back into the Roshan pit. Should be able to finish this uninterrupted by the other members of T1.
And there's a refresher shard in there. Assuming that's going to go to Les Teasy as he double ravage, one of the scariest late game. They're already having a tough time on the side of T1 fighting into the clump of Quincy Crew. They're doing a great job anytime the Haunt comes out of just doing the buddy-buddy system to make sure that none of them get picked off. They even were able to focus the Wyvern as LOA finds him, bottom.
Cuckoo's still got the BKB TP, and with the curse already used, they've not got anything else to stop it, so Cuckoo, he'll manage to make the escape.
Maybe a bit of impatience. He wasn't TPing yet on the Nature's Prophet. Could have maybe held that a bit longer.
That's what moves them right now. We see the Shadow Blade being
Illusion
picked up
escape
by Cuckoo. I mean, that's always the dream for the carries, isn't it? Right? If you're an Agi range carry and you get an Illusion escape, my goodness, the stonks are only going to go up now. Lots of money ready to fly in for your war. And also something that's very nice as well, I guess, against this sort of constant lane push from T1 now, just having that extra mechanism to sort of be able to shove a lane in back against T1.
Oh, absolutely. Luna's probably the only hero in the game where one illusion can clear multiple creep waves.
They're on the hunt for Zephyr. But again, Zephyr loves this. You know, this is what he lives for. He lives for the space that he's making and for the attention that he's getting here from Quincy Crew. They won't
Look at these
spend,
items. Blink
too long
Force.
hunting from this time.
And he's all about that mobility.
Sliding all over the place. Yeah, I mean, he's not involved in the action. He just wants to split waves and play this constant sort of Dota, just taking away this ability for Quincy Crew to push in. Quincy Crew, well, they got creep wave down bottom. They've just got, is it one range creep? It's just the one little range creep, but he's going to do enough to take down this backdoor protection. Pop the fortification, but it's going to be a hard-hitting push here from Quincy Crew here, as they're getting hyped up as well for that last fight that we saw them able to take, and the damage will be done. Finally, Quincy Crew will manage to apply the pressure to the high ground, take the bottom set very quickly. I mean, this is the thing, once you're not able to keep them away from the base, when they actually get to it, with this DP and Luna, they shred through the objectives. Carl is going to get in on the front lines here with a blink, holding onto his BKB, they'll turn with the sprout onto Quinn. Leslau stepping in with the Shiva's guard, but Quincy Crew, they just focus the objectives and making sure that they get what they came for, and they will. This is going to be a second set of racks that Quincy Crew are able to take down as they finally break around all the games that T1's trying to play outside and away from their bases. Huge objectives, they're ready to push on for more. They're not going anywhere here, Quincy Crew. Straight over to the tier 4s. They're looking to close this one out. T1, they've got to respond. They've got to respond soon. So what do we have going on here? Here he is, he's ready to jump into the backlines. Kuku's getting focused. The first Ravage is going to come out. They've caught him. They've got the control on the 23 Savage. 23 Savage is trying to run the overgrowth. Will hold them back. Give time for 23 Savage to head out to the side. Whitemon, he's in with the 3-man Cookie. Turns with the blast over towards LOA, but it's not enough damage. LOA, he's got the curse control on the Kuku. Kuku brought back for this, but Kuku, he's going to go down for sure. He put the BKB down the invis. If they got detection, they don't. Kuku will be able to sneak away. Quincy Crew, they're ignoring. They want to end this game. They're back onto the Ancient Yawar, looking to close this game up. If they've got any chance of pushing them away from this T1, Yawar, he's fighting right up until his last breath. They're in with the stuns. Quinn's hitting the Ancient. They're looking to close it in time, and they're able to do so. Quincy Crew, they'll close it up. This game 1 will go to them here. And my goodness, T1, they certainly tried their best to stop this from ever coming to play. But at the end of it all, Quincy Crew, they were able to find a crack in the armor of T1 and get this opportunity to use this incredible 5-man push to get the win.
Yeah, such clean play coming out from Quincy Crew. Yes, they had that one mistake where they got caught out bottom, but Yawar 5-0-9, Quinn 11-1-9. This is just exactly what I wanted to see from them today. A little bit sloppy their first series, but this is so much cleaner. Exactly what makes them so potent in the NA region. They're just so clean coming out of the laning phase. They're not as much about the laning dominance, but it's more about that efficiency that they eke out from the 10 to 20 minute mark, accruing this constant lead, playing the map to eventually group up as 5. And even though they stuttered, they finished so strong.
Absolutely. I think overall, not necessarily one of the games with the highest of kill counts, but strategically a very satisfying game to see from both teams here with the way they approach. And it just goes to sort of show how much this game was sort of on an edge. That one sort of, you blink and you miss that ending. After such sort of a careful, calculated play from both sides, one move gone wrong, Quincy Crew, they're able to close it up. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 going to Quincy Crew here against T1, as we'll pass you back over to the panel.
Thank you very much indeed. I couldn't agree more with ODPixel and BSJ. This was a very clean game. We remember when we talked about Quincy Crew and No Ping the first day of playoffs. Cap, they didn't look that clean. I think they're going to be a lot more happy with their performance this time around.
Yeah, but there's still room for improvement, right? I mean, there was that 24-minute where it's just like the net worth skyrocketed back up to the favor of T1. There was almost an even game again after that disaster of a team fight. They still managed to be able to keep it going, and that's fine, all well and good. But I think a better team might actually cause them to trip up. I think in many ways that draft-wise, Quincy Crew did set themselves up for success, though. I just wish T1 had picked something that was able to be a bit more active.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Quincy Crew, part of the reason why they look so strong this game, in spite of their one of their mistakes there, as you said, letting T1 come back, is that how they itemized was really smart this game. If you look at the cores on T1's team, they actually don't do any damage. It's DK, Spectre, Furion. None of them have any real steroids or any spells that help them hit timings. So you saw Quinn, he just went straight for a heart on DP. He took the health talent over the Crypt Swarm.
Yeah.
Quincy Crew knew that as long as they kept their heroes together to protect the supports, in a 5v5, they could basically never lose the fight.
Yeah, and I think that's T1. I'm not sure if they felt like this Nature's Prophet was because they are naturally going to be able to scale well. The combination of Spectre and Nature's Prophet was going to be able to whoop this Luna, but I just don't think that this is really how you want to be able to use this Nature's Prophet. The way that Evil Geniuses picked it up, they put it in a lineup where they're going to be ahead in net worth all the time, and the Nature's Prophet is going to be ahead in experience. It's going to be using that giant stack gain. It's going to be picking up some damage items and can challenge the Luna as a result. But here, it just felt like T1 was giving into the fact that they were going to be playing this guerrilla warfare style the entire time, where Zephyr is being, as AUI constantly called him, an annoying little shit, and being able to pull the creep wave. But no, seriously, that is just the play style of what you're supposed to do as a Treant Protector, right? You pull the creep waves back. He was keeping the towers alive. Like, he was doing an amazing job. That's a compliment for you to be annoying like that. And he was doing an amazing job at that. But it also feels like that was T1 just kind of like giving up being the aggressors in the game. They're saying, like, we're just going to stall out so much of this game that eventually Spectre's going to win. I don't think you could do that in this current meta anyway.
You feel like they were playing for the 60 minutes.
Yeah, it felt maybe more like 45.
I think
Sure, they were playing for late game.
Yeah.
No, their draft only does damage once Furion has items. Because Spectre just doesn't do damage to Tidehunter and Death Prophet. You can outcarry Luna with Spectre, but I don't think they had a chance versus DP. The only way that T1 could win this game is if Furion got to the farm of a position 1. And they just didn't have the room on the map in order to do that. Like, they were trying their best to stall the game, but Furion, he legit needs like high levels because it's insane stat game, and like some like Mjolnir Satanic AC type items in order to carry this.
Yeah, you need that single target threat to be able to like force the Death Prophet into awkward positions. Spectre's not going to do that. You know what happens when Spectre haunts into a Death Prophet? She starts healing off of the Spectre. She's like, you're a high HP hero with low damage. Thank you. That's fantastic. Let me use Spirit Siphon against you.
Yawer over there, 5-0, played another game.
Yeah.
Didn't use Aegis properly. I will flame him for that later because it's one of the things we went over together as I was coaching him. But honestly, Quincy Crew, they played really well. Quinn here, 11-1. I think his build was phenomenal. You can even see he picked up the AC after. Really good counter to... They just itemized against the lack of damage really well, and it paid off.
Yeah, all the damage that was there was mostly physical, so yeah, having an AC there helping out a ton. I know you guys were also fairly critical at some point of Leslao's positioning.
Yeah, I think there was some weird one where he just walked to the river alone. Cap had a really good line about it where I think you called it the lowest low ground of low grounds.
Yeah.
And that made a lot of sense to me because, I mean, the river is like the most dangerous place for you to be. The middle of the map is where every Dota player wants to be because you can go anywhere from the middle of the map. You cannot go to it alone. He had to like either block the creep so he took the fight a little bit closer to his side, or just realize that, okay, maybe we have to give up a little bit of map control, push it back out after it comes closer to our tier 2. But he did his job this game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the things that we're picking at for Quincy Crew are minor things that they need to do better if they want to be able to win this event. But as a whole, like big picture plan, it felt like strategy, they were ahead of the game in this game 1 for sure.
I will say that T1, I think they were very outdrafted this game, and they made it look very competitive at times.
Yeah.
When Quincy Crew messed up, the only reason why these mess ups we can talk about them is because T1 did such a good job punishing them. You can think where they caught the Tidehunter in bottom lane, and they chased down 3 heroes, caught Quinn like with 0.1 seconds on his TP. That was a really good punish read on the map. Same thing for the Tidehunter and Wyvern mid. These things happen because T1 are just very quick at identifying when they have an advantage. I think with a better draft, we'll see a very competitive game too.
Yeah, so you would credit this loss for them, this win for Quincy Crew, mostly on the draft.
It was like draft plus a good identification from Quincy Crew of the game state. Because if Quincy Crew, they itemize a bit differently, maybe DP goes for some more damage items, he takes the crit storm cooldown, all of a sudden they get a fight where they burst a DP, she buys back, it's anyone's game.
Yeah.
But Quincy Crew were really good at itemizing to remove the win conditions from the T1 side. As soon as that happened, I feel like there wasn't much hope for the T1 side.
Yeah, you can see that even come to a head where Quincy Crew recognized their strategy and the position that they were in and just being able to go and try and end the game, right? The position where they go from bottom mid and they just go straight for throne, it's like they don't need to back up and hit that tier 2 top or anything like that. They recognize that like their time to win this game is right now. They're the strongest that they're going to be comparatively. They let that game stall out any longer. T1 is just going to start closing that gap bit by bit. Sure, maybe they still end it through megas and stuff, but comparatively, that was going to be their biggest peak compared to the lowest low for T1. They just couldn't handle that team fight towards the end.
Yeah, the playing to win paid off. I want to talk a little bit about a Tree and Protector because it's a hero that keeps popping up in every conversation because it used to be very popular in especially the Chinese region. I think this was one of the few Tree and Protectors that we saw picked up on the main stage so far. Thoughts? Not, I mean, obviously it lost, so maybe, you know, it's not the greatest showing, but
I think it's okay. I've been playing with it in pubs. One of the heroes that I felt like I wanted to learn more before this event. And I will say that there are, it's like Broodmother in the regard that you need to be able to play around it in a very specific way. And one of the things like, okay, so for Dragonite this offlane, right, you want damage dealing supports behind it. So for Tree and Protector, you want to make sure that you have active cores because you want to be able to use living armor to help like a puck be active in some other lane, right? He's able to dive in fearlessly because he has kind of a 5 position globally with him at all times.
Yes.
That's how I feel about it.
And
you can
the
even
DK is not good enough for that then.
Yeah, I mean, he's not bad, but you can see Trian even realized that his living armor targets weren't good this game. I think he went 3-2-0. He didn't take a point at living armor. Living armor, you don't want to have to play defensive just because you have the spell that heals towers. It's way more preferable that you're putting pressure on them, and then when they try to flip the map and make a trade, then your living armor kicks in.
Yeah.
This game, it felt more like he's just stalling, and he's not really stalling for anything.
Yeah, I want aggressors when I'm playing a Tree Protector. That way, like you said, like when the enemy team feels like they can't fight anymore, they naturally do split push and try and chip away at tier 1s, and that's where living armor also feels really good. And I think it's the ability that makes the hero like what it is. It's the uniquest ability that he's got, and so I feel that's a reason why you should be picking it.
And when we saw T1 the first time round, obviously crushing Aster in the first round of the upper bracket, felt like a different team, but do you guys feel that that's because of the opponent, or did you feel maybe they were a little bit weaker than what we saw 2 days ago?
I think it's very easy to look like a much weaker team based on the draft that you have. I think the draft impacts all the moves that you can make in Dota, which can make you feel like a slower or faster team or just like lower skill, higher skill. So while there's some of it, some like read on how good they were versus Aster, that's probably accurate. I think they also outdrafted Aster pretty handedly.
Yeah.
Compared to this game where it looked like they were a bit more outdrafted. So they're going to look worse, but I'm pretty sure they're going to come back for game 2.
Same
I love
philosophy.
How, by the way, sorry, I love how it looks like they're just coming out of this little alleyway.
The set is very cool.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
I would say the same philosophy of draft also can apply to laning phase, where if you get ahead in a laning phase, you could feel a lot better about your game, and that can just change the game state for the rest of the 30-minute, 40 minutes that you have to play. And the one thing they had in that series, Enchantress, back-to-back.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a lane-winning hero right now, and it worked out so well for them, especially since they could swap it between the two.
Enchantress gave Quincy Crew a lot that game. I think in that sense, like we should look at this hero as maybe the hero of this match. I think he should be highly contested. Honestly, probably maybe even banned because Quincy Crew straight first picked her, and I felt like she had very high impact that game.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely. We're going to find out. Will Enchantress be first phase picked or banned? Perhaps. Who knows? We are ready for the draft panel, for game 2, so let's head over there.
Welcome to the draft panel. I'm your host, some sort of bearded Santa, like a young Santa, like a cool, like a hip Santa kind of thing. That's what I'm going for, at least. What I don't know what people are going for is last pick Nature's Prophet. You want that last 24th pick to be one of those gotchas, one of those, oh, you didn't see that one coming. And to be fair, Nature's Prophet can be that in certain contexts, but maybe not in the offlane, as we have Ocean Eyes here to explain it. Please, come on, illuminate me. Why is Nature's Prophet offlane not a thing?
Okay, well, I will put this on the table. I do play Nature's Prophet, Boots of Travel, Meteor Hammer, and go 1-17.
Okay, that's enough out of you. Effie, tell me, why is offlane Prophet not a thing?
How are you 1-17?
No. Damn it. I don't want you to... Don't engage him. Don't engage this man.
I'm so sorry, Snowy. It's just unbelievable that he's always 1-17. Okay.
Answer the question.
Okay, well, I think, firstly, Furion fell out of meta because Vanguard was very popular during the Season 2 of the DPC, and he does not like to play against that item. But now, I was wondering, could Furion be good again after the games that we saw? And like someone on the Fluff panel put it very well, you pick Furion if you know you're going to constantly be ahead in net worth. But it looks like they picked him to split push the map and just try to be annoying and have all of these evasive maneuvers. And this split push style of Dota that Furion is famous for, and this ratting and this like going to side lanes and being annoying, that's not really that good in this meta. It's just not something that you can do. You have to be able to fight when the enemy team overwhelms you. You have to have some kind of team fight, some kind of security, some kind of follow-up damage, or some kind of win condition. The Spectre alone is not a win condition if you have 3 heroes that aim to do the same thing, which is just keep the lanes pushed up.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. I think that the reason that it works in the carry position is because having a carry that can soak up all of the safe farm on the map while your team is playing directly in front of their base with some, push lineup, which of course Nature's Prophet also likes to play with, is some sort of other pushing heroes. That's good, right? That's always good. This is a 4 protect 1, except it's way easier than with the Terrorblade, where you actually have to make a move to show up to the fight, some smart move. Nature's Prophet, you literally just hit creeps, and then you TP to the fight. So I think that's why it works as a carry. In the offlane, you want to TP for more than just taking safe farm. You're TPing around, you're baiting people around, and the cooldown's like 65 seconds at level 1 now. It's terrible. And you don't get that many levels from the offlane. As a carry, you get stacks, you get left alone. The offlane, you're more of a sacrificial role. That early cooldown on the TP, it really hurts. You play this hero as an offlaner, and immediately, like within 1 or 2 games, you'll realize like this is not good.
Yeah, and it's missing out on his potential because you guys were saying his gains per level is like, he gets 9.9 cumulatively between strength, agi, and int.
It's nuts.
That's insane for a hero. And to be putting it in the off lane where he isn't going to be getting that many levels, and he isn't in a position to show up to fights, he's more running away from fights constantly, it doesn't seem like it's the most optimal usage of a hero with strengths like that.
Also, the role that you're looking for your offlane hero to fill is either very hard disable, very good initiation, or some kind of damage soak. And Furion doesn't do any of these things for his team. So he just doesn't seem to fit into this meta of Mars and Tidehunter and Dragon Knight.
I agree. It's the tanky boys in the offlane now. You're seeing a lot less Death Prophet Razor too. Those are really popular last patch. So that does not help that those heroes are falling off.
And to add on top of that, Furion was being picked, in my opinion, as a way to kind of correct a weaker lane. So both times we saw him, I believe it was with an Abaddon 5. And Abaddon 5, when you pick that hero, you are making a concession when it comes to lane strength. If the enemy offlane can overwhelm you, it can seem kind of bad. But they picked a hero like Furion, who's a complete lane beast, to kind of counteract that. That's the way that I interpreted it when I saw it in No Ping's draft or in EG's draft today.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, laning it seems to be easy win laning heroes do seem to be pretty meta. Like this Enchantress getting first banned out, you can see that T1, Quincy Crew, both of these teams play this hero, but of course Quincy Crew not having the first pick, they just say, okay, we're not going to let you have this hero. That just guarantees that no matter what you're up against, you win the lane with Enchantress. Because either you win with creeps, or they pick some creep killer and you win with impetus. You just win the lane guaranteed.
And T1 pick up the DK again. they keep giving it to Carl. It's interesting how teams prioritize DK. Nigma loves sending it in the offlane, although they did end up giving it to Miracle.
What are you giggling at? She's just giggling. What did I say? What did I do?
What didn't you do, Jenkins? This is what I wonder every single panel.
Yeah, I'm just still wondering how he can be 1 in 17
Oh my god.
in every story.
It's just coincidence.
It's a comedic number.
Stop lying!
No, it's not. It's
Stop lying.
coincidence.
Just
No
stop
comedy
it. Stop
about
lying.
it. Don't put words in my mouth.
Jenkins, your
Konami.
entire life is a comedy.
I appreciate that.
Comedic tragedy.
I appreciate that. And also, what's really funny is this DK hero, everybody was shitting on when the anime came out. Oh, he's so bad. He's going to come to the meta because of the anime. It actually happened. It legitimately happened. It's like the most busted hero in Dota right now. God, if only he was that OP in the anime.
Oh, Netflix.
He will be, I think.
You know, he's got a lot of work to do. I'll just
I think
say
he'll
that.
get there. You don't make an anime protagonist without making him a little bit weaker in the beginning.
That's
Yeah.
right.
He has to level up kind of.
He's never going to get this
We
strong. I
saw
mean,
it.
this is...
This is it. This is the strongest you've ever seen DK in any meta.
I think so.
I think you're right, actually.
think so.
Because he hasn't been so versatile like my original point was before you so rudely interrupted
Of
me.
course, of course.
Okay, so
Other Billie Eilish reference that I can't come up with off the top of my head. Why do teams find strengths of DK in different roles? Is it purely just comfort out of the players that like, yeah, Carl's the DK player, just give it on mid lane? Or is there some sort of lane situation where you're like, I want my level 6 DK to come sooner. I want him to build pipe. I want him to build blink.
I think the laning is a big factor to it. I know that there are a lot of heroes that will lane against other heroes and just dumpster them, and DK doesn't lose lanes.
Yeah.
He just sits there. I mean, the only thing that beats him in lanes is this Timbersaw, which is why T1 banned it. You just sit there, high armor, high regen.
But
you hit
Undying,
creeps.
was Undying not the answer?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I was disagreeing with Aoi and BSJ. Well, not really disagreeing. I think it was one of those, like, we were talking about different things. I was saying that I don't think if I'm a DK offlane and there's an Undying chasing me around, giving me stick charges for free, and I'm this, like, super fast-moving hero because he got crazy move speed buffs, I don't care if an Undying is running at me. I just regen. The regen doesn't go down with the strength steal that he does. In the game, it is annoying. They definitely, like, they convinced me on that because you just drop the tombstone. DK likes to commit to fights, and you just drop the tombstone and run at him, and you've got the percentage damage and so forth. So it's good in the game for sure, but in lane, it's like you just don't. DK doesn't care about anything.
So those are really good points. For me, it's interesting to see how heroes come into the meta as a response to popular meta heroes, and then people discover, wait, this hero is actually really good at X, Y, and Z, and we like having him, and we can put him in A, B, and C lane. So that kind of happened with Lion when Puck boomed in popularity. So did Lion, because Lion had an Hex, an instant disable for him, and even when people stopped picking Puck, teams got so used to the hard CC and like the comfort of having a Lion that
Convenient.
they realized that this hero is pretty good. And I think something similar happened during this major with Dragon Knight, right? First we saw it as a response to Puck. That's why it was being picked. And then we saw Nigma move it to the offlane once. And they kind of just collapsed on their Dragon Knight with 3 of their heroes after the mid lane didn't necessarily go so well. And they realized this is a strong hero we can have on the offlane to win the lane that we can rally behind, who can also stun heroes for us and become very strong with his like Aghanim Scepter.
He's gonna ban
upgrade.
Lion. Just making a prediction here.
Very smart. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying, but
I'm so sorry. I'm so
it's
oh
okay.
god.
Like that,
You were
that's-
saying that they shift farm priorities, like it's trending. Everyone,
it's just cool.
people look at fads and they see, oh, this DK, we need it for the puck. Let's actually put it in the offlane because mind control's familiar with it. And then other teams are like, bro, this DK hero looks busted in the offlane.
Exactly. This is how the meta always evolves. You pick something in response to something, and you find out that it's actually good at other things, and it just keeps being developed with every team that plays it. And that's just very cool for me to watch firsthand. It's the first time I've seen something like this happen, so it's really cool.
It's really funny that you're using Lion as like just a random example to prove the DK, and then he just bans Lion on the screen.
It's a sick prediction.
That's legit a sick.
Let's high five about it.
I didn't.
High five.
That was a sick high five. Effie, you want a high five?
Yeah, high five.
That would.
Great.
Oh, yeah,
everybody
we're so
knows
good
that's
at
not
this.
possible given the distance between you two.
I'm sorry, have you not seen the Battle Pass, except not really Battle Pass, but the added high fives?
I did see that.
There's a long cast range on a high five.
That's true.
Okay, so something T1 addressed that they struggled with last game, as BSJ pointed out, was that they really didn't have damage for these tanky cores that Quincy Crew had. So they first phase is Terrorblade. They solved their damage issues already. And now they just have to find a way to set him up for success, to enable him with their drafting.
They also kind of solved the Luna issue, because last time Quincy was able to first phase the Luna, they banned out the Shadow Demon, but then they also banned out the Terrorblade.
Okay.
And Quincy Crew, MSS's Hoodwink.
I like it.
We finally have a break against the Dragon Knight, because it's been getting banned out consistently. Viper can also banned out a lot. But what else does it do, Jenkins? Why do you like it? Is it just because it's MSS? Or
Well-
has the tournament kind of made you like Hoodwink a little bit more?
So first thing I did want to point out is that picking TB into Elder Titan, incredibly ballsy, but I like that they did it just because, like you said, they needed something to answer the Luna, and this is not going to get through to the second phase. This is almost always, if you pick the Luna, it's going to be in the third, one of these 3 heroes that gets banned in the second phase. With the Hoodwink, my argument behind this hero is that it's kind of like a mix of Treant Protector and Lina. You have this burst damage in the ultimate. You have this tree hiding, annoying. You're scurrying around, being a pain in the ass, split pushing and cutting waves. And then you have this stun that is a very effective disable that's on a low cooldown, especially with a hero like Darkseer, where you have the vacuum into Bushwhack combo. But does it still destroy trees, the vacuum?
Yeah, but they reduced AoE.
So
It still does,
Terrorblade,
but yeah.
Okay, that is a little weird.
Yeah, it's a
You have
little
the
weird.
vacuum into tree, into Bushwhack.
Terrorblade's life just got very sad and very difficult with this Darkseer pick.
Look at how gigantic this Darkseer
I
is.
think out of all the heroes that you don't want to play against as Terrorblade, in lane and throughout the game, I would put Darkseer up there, like top 3.
A lot of magic damage out of the Ion Shell, so your armor doesn't really help. And the Wall of Replica.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I played Dragon
Oh my
Knight in a
god!
pub,
Stop it.
and I went 1-7. And this Darkseer, it was Zai, he random Darkseer mid, and he was walling. I would go anywhere, and he would TP in and just wall me and use my dragon self to push towers on me.
Yeah, fun fact. Corrosive Breath used to not work on illusions until like 4 months ago.
That really pissed me off in that pub,
That's a
I gotta
really
say.
cool
so
story.
Zai, don't do that. That was really rude of you.
Yeah, 1-17. That's a rare score.
Really rude. It was a horrible game.
Warlock.
It dumpsters DK.
A former North American specialty in the Season 2 DPC. T1 are going to pick it up, and they'll pick up a Doom, which might just end up being Carl's hero in the mid lane.
Okay, they got 3 demon guys. I gotta point that out. That's 3. They got Warlock, they got Doom, they got TB, and then a Dragon. This is a cool draft.
So Warlock is a bit of a slower hero compared to a lot of other supports, so I haven't really been a proponent of him throughout this major. I'm not very fond of him, even though I can see how Fatal Bonds plus Terrorblade can be insane amounts of damage. But after the Warlock, they also pick Doom, who plays a bit of a slower game as well, because you know you're going to add more farm priority to that hero, because he's going to get the Midas, and he's going to Devour, and he's going to get a few key items before he becomes really potent. So I'm concerned for T1's ability to match the pace of Quincy Crew already. And this Darkseer pick, like, you don't understand how sad Terrorblade is when he plays against this hero.
It's interesting they picked the Doom. It makes me think, I know people consider Doom to be a Darkseer counter because Darkseer's just about the best Doom target in the game. It's one of those weird things where if you Doom anybody else, he will surge them away and heal them because he's naturally going to go for the Greaves aura type items. But then you just Doom the Darkseer because, like I said, he's a priority. And in the lane, you can eat the Darkseer creep on the wave and completely nullify the hero. You dumpster Darkseer in lane. So this makes me think maybe they'll aggro, but there's a Warlock, so that seems awful. But running the Doom versus the Darkseer is very typical whenever you see a Doom get picked up. So maybe they'll go some like Warlock Doom plus some like aggro dual lane and just farm in it.
That's a very good point. I think they were forced into picking this Doom actually because they have to address the Darkseer problem if their Terrorblade is going to have a game and be able to fight these team fights.
Yeah.
So it's not like they wanted to play this slower kind of Dota, but they were forced to play it with this Darkseer pick. So that's actually a really, really good point.
Especially
I like
against
that.
ET,
Yeah.
who already makes your TB's game incredibly hard. If you don't have something to answer the Darkseer as well, you just have 2 heroes annihilating your win condition, and it's like, okay, maybe we got to deal with this.
It might happen starting in the laning phase. So I said it would be probably MSS Hoodwink, but ET Darkseer sounds like an amazing lane to
That
put up
does.
against a Terrorblade.
You are 1000% correct. Both SVG, or both LOA and MSS, do play Hoodwink. They both do play Elder Titan, so I could 100% see that. And they've often played MSS in the safe lane, so maybe they'll just... There's so many ways that they could do this,
Bro,
where what you said happens.
How is Darkseer bigger than Doom?
Yeah,
What is
okay.
with the scale?
That makes...
Darkseer's beard is like half the size.
I
Hoodwink...
think it's just a close-up, right? It's
He's just been hitting the gym.
I mean, Hoodwink's a chipmunk, so I understand why she's little. But Darkseer... I mean, that size is way off.
So for Quincy Crew, I'd like to see some kind of high-tempo hero with reach, like one of the spirits, just so they can get
Say
on
no
top.
more.
There's one of the spirits. I was gonna say maybe a Void Spirit, but he doesn't seem that good this major. And Ember has had more of a success.
And you were gonna say Void because it's Quinn.
But his Ember is excellent too.
True.
We saw it versus No Ping completely dominate.
God-tier prediction.
However, it's nice to have these two high-priority Doom targets like Ember or Darkseer, because Doom does not like to play against targets where he has to split the Doom, because he only has one Doom until the very late game, and you kind of have to make the choice: am I going to Doom the Darkseer or am I going to Doom the Ember? So that's something that Doom really does not like to play against.
And it's going to be a mid lane Doom. Carl will be taking it, and it's going to be Cuckoo off lane Dragon Knight. And as for the supports on Quincy, it is still MSS Hoodwink and LOA Elder Titan, but they may shift up
They
the
may
lanes.
shift it, yeah. So I do think the Ember Spirit too, what a nice hero to play with the Darkseer. You Surge,
Yeah.
those remnants are going lightning fast.
Yeah.
It is impossible to dodge this guy. And then great Iron Shell target as well.
I really like Quincy Crew's draft, and I feel like T1's draft has a little bit of pacing issues, but as we saw from the last game, T1 do know how to play the map, and they play it very well, and they maneuver around these hard situations very easily. I just think they're at a little bit of a disadvantage right now. Draft.
T1 has crazy good team fight though, and they actually have the Disable in the DK to set up for heroes like Warlock and Phoenix.
All right, and we'll see. Maybe that last pick, Phoenix, might give them that last little bit of team fight they needed. T1 looking to make it a 3-game series. Let's pass it over to our casters.
Thank you, Tsunami. Here we are, Game 2, upper bracket semifinals. And at the AniMajor, both these teams tried to make sure we followed the plot with as many characters as possible. We got the Terrorblade Luna and the Davion in the first round of the draft. What story do you think we are going to see unfold in this game?
I'm not too sure, Brian. I mean, I've probably got to go the way of the Quincy Crew lineup after seeing how well they're able to break through the games that T1 were trying to play against them last time. I mean, this time round, as the panel said, T1, they've definitely got more of the team fight. I think we're going to see a lot more action. But the fact that Quincy Crew were able to find the way out of game 1, you know, I think T1's definitely going to have quite the test for them here. Surely the Terrorblade can be strong, but I'm seeing a lot of punch and magical explosions that are going to be coming out of Quincy Crew's heroes that could threaten Savage early on. We're seeing this early move already, actually, heading over towards the area of 23 Savage, and they're actually going to be able to find the opening here. As they'll lead in, looking for some body blocks. I don't want to skill up on Quinn, of course, doesn't want to get anything here to get the grab on 23 Savage, saving for the lane. So just a bit of pressure, pushing 23 Savage back here to start things off. But yeah, I gotta say, I think we're gonna see a lot of action from Quincy Crew. I'm excited to see T1 answer it head on this time, but I think it's gonna be hard for them.
Yeah, now, Owen, this is a game where I think you can agree with me. I would not want to play carry. Both teams early rounded their carries, and Luna's up against a Doom, which I never liked playing against, and then the Terrorblade, he's up against ET, which he picked it into, Darkseer, and Ember, and even the Hoodwink with all this long-range magic damage on top of the ET aura. I can't imagine how they're going to stay alive at all in these mid to late game team fights.
Absolutely, I think it's going to be such a hard game for Savage. It's going to be a huge test for him, pretty much in all aspects of the game. I don't know which bit it's going to start to be easier for him from the laning onwards. And we'll see here the decision from Quincy Crew. They're going to start, in fact, with Yuar farming up on this top lane so they can really get that extra pressure in onto 23 Savage, utilize that ability of LOA just getting in his face. MSS, he's going to stick around, play around with Whitemon, leaving the 1v1 down here to go. Well, okay, so I guess Zephyr's going to stick around with Cuckoo, but Leslau should be relatively fine here on his own as the Darkseer down in the safe lane. And the mid lane matchup, Quinn against Carl. They've got to watch out for this Ember Spirit, the master tier Ember Spirit, of course, coming out from Quinn. Should have a pretty decent lane. I don't think he's going to suffer too much against Carl in the 1v1. And then once he's hitting that 6 and running across the map, you got to sort of ask yourself, will T1 actually have enough lockdown to really deal with him? I mean, their main control, what is it, a Dragon Tail and a Doom. You know, it's not a lot, so a lot of availability for Quinn to just dance across the action.
Yeah, I think the first couple volleys of ultimates coming out from T1 will be quite deadly, as we do see a two-man bushwhack. Doesn't gonna amount to anything, but in the mid to early game, the team fights, yes, they're not gonna have any items to deal with these ults, but I think this must be the best Lotus Orb Linken's game I've ever seen, as if you look at the 3 demon cores, or the 2 demon cores and the Davion, we got ourselves all single target, the Sunder, the Doom, the Dragon Tail. If they can get these items online, heroes like the Ember are gonna have so much damage just from the Flame Guard as well as the ET Aura and the Ion Shell that I think they can afford to itemize purely defensively, and it should be quite easy for them to execute these fights.
Top lane, 23 Savage. He's getting punched out of this here. I mean, massively struggling to really get CS at all on this top lane. Just 3 and 2 on 23 Savage right now as Quincy Crew maintain full control of this top lane matchup here. You are 11 for 7, 12 for 7, completely free farming and just shutting down anything really going the way of 23 Savage. I mean, for T1, do you have to sort of make alterations here? How do you rectify this incredibly tough start for your Terrorblade?
It's just going to be early rotations for kills, maybe even forcing pressure on the bottom lane, but the thing is, DK usually elects to skip his Flame Breath in lane, so yes, you are tanky, yes, you are sustaining, but you don't have a way to outpush the Darkseer to get to this tower, and just in case Jenkins is watching, we have questioned his knowledge of aggro tri-lanes. Ursa, not the best aggro tri-laning hero. On the other hand, Luna, one of the most historically common carries to be putting in the offlane, because not only are you incredibly item dependent to accelerate your own farm, but you also have an aura that buffs up your entire team, and Terrorblade hates dealing with tri-lanes, so it's just such a win-win for Quincy Crew, and because they have such little rotation capabilities on the side of T1 this early on, I think they kind of just have to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, top lane, it's very rough here for T1. Mid lane, as we're seeing, well, actually, with eyes on top of it, they might get a kill. Actually, won't be able to find the stomp connection, so Zephyr and Whitemon should be fine backing off. It's bringing an extra backup, having both supports around to try and manage to find some space here for Savage against this tri-lane of Quincy Crew. As yeah, other lanes, mid lane, Quinn continuing to keep a strong lead against Carl. The bottom lane, that's where the good news is at the moment for T1. Cuckoo, he is having a fantastic time. I mean, there we have it, finally able to even get a kill out of this, as the support appearance from T1 is not really making too much of a difference. If anything, turning up into this lane, it is just giving these sort of opportunities for Quincy Crew to start picking up kills on top of the lane control.
Yeah, it certainly will not make a difference if MSS continues to land 2-man bushwhacks with level 1 bushwhacks. So that's impressive stuff coming out from him. I know he's been playing it a lot, but the Phoenix being level 3 so early in comparison to the levels of the tri-lane, because he was only dual laning bottom, looked like it was going to give them a bit of momentum, but they overextended on the side of T1, and yes, they may be able to win the trade battle with the harass from the Phoenix and the heal from the Warlock, but they have really no kill threat, and that's the only issue Luna's really concerned about in lane because she trades so well. And MSS, being the only stun in that entire lane, is proving what the importance of having a single stun in a tri-lane can be.
See Zephyr trying to chase away MSS. He's going to come in with the dive onto MSS. MSS got some stick charges. Zephyr, he's going to try for the TP out, but they've got the damage. Quinn's got the 6, drops the Remnants down. That's a kill for Quinn here in the mid lane as Zephyr, he stands no chance of escape. Another death here on the Phoenix is not really having the greatest of time finding a place to be. Quincy Crew dealing very well with his presence.
Yeah, now this is a picture I'm all too familiar with. Quinn free farming the mid lane as the opponent has been booted into the jungle. Doom, usually me in this case, just in case you guys were wondering. Not the sustain we used to remember. Yes, he has the bottle, but that Devour no longer giving you that HP regen. Quinn electing to max out that Sleight of Fist. He's still a mediocre armor hero, has been pushed away entirely. And Ember Spirit's really only weakness I can see as a mid laner is those early levels 1 through 6. And because he's getting out of that scot-free with the enabling from a Darkseer who is by himself, yes, not getting the best CS, Leslau, but he is already level 5. And he should be able to enable his own game by playing around Quinn. I'm going to be looking for these two to be connecting as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll see Quinn. Not quite able to get that DD rune. Carl was able to control him with the Purge. He picked up from the Banisher.
Well, that's value.
Quinn back to lane. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good job that DD didn't go into the hands of Quinn, otherwise Quinn would definitely have been cleaning up some kills across the map. But Carl able to at least hold that back from him.
Yeah, Cuckoo level 6, pressuring bottom.
With the two of them, not likely to be able to do too much aggressively onto Cuckoo. They're going to try, but he is rather tanky with the 3 points in Elder Dragon. Sorry, in the Dragon's Blood. They can't kill this man. He's able to walk it off.
Yeah, that stun looks a lot scarier when used on 2 supports than it does on the DK.
He's going to find himself somewhere else to get involved. He's on the bottom lane. Nothing too aggressive is going to be successful onto the DK, at least until Quinn starts to make his moves. They're going to allow Zephyr to try and soak up some XP in the mid lane to start catching up on the levels. Carl going straight for the hood this game after the face, making sure that he can build himself to a point where heroes like Quinn won't be able to blow him up.
Yeah, Quinn, he's not necessarily gonna kill anybody with this skill build, but he can play on their side of the map with impunity as long as he pushes Remnant before he gets doomed. They don't have any instant disables that are gonna catch him off guard because the DK doesn't have a blink or anything yet. He's gonna TP top.
He is. They've got the stomp set up onto Savage. Savage, he's got no escape from this. Quinn just running him down. They've got a bit of a heal coming in. Quinn, he's gonna have another slight in a second. That'll do the job. 23 Savage cut down here by Quinn's rotation.
Yeah, this is exactly where Quinn, this is where he's feeling himself, man. He's 2-0, mid lane, 52 CS, 8 minutes into the game. Ember Spirit, any of the spirits really, as he's already back mid.
Okay, Zephyr did have the dive, but again, as you say, just this pressure. You know, Zephyr, he really wants to try and get some XP out of this lane, but every time he turns up, he's going to beat right back out of it. Top, they're trying for the chase down onto Yuar. Good stomp comes out to Carl there from LOA. Make sure that Carl isn't able to close the gap and get on top of Yuar with the Doom.
Yeah, really nice disengage there. As Quinn going to keep pressuring this mid lane. Phoenix, Zephyr doing a good job of slowing this down. Quinn's not exactly looking to take the tower, but he's going to wear and tear it down. Already down a 3rd HP. Not quite the mid lane pressure we've been seeing in a lot of these games so far in the major. Doom versus Ember, really no tower threat, but the idea that you force the Doom mid like he does here allows him to make this rotation on the Terrorblade. 23 Savage has to be careful. Just getting zoned out.
He is, yeah, he's straight out of this area of the map. He knows if he gets anywhere close to Quinn +1, they're going to suffer. As again, a good hold here from LOA. Carl tries to step up each and every time these stomps coming into play, making it very hard for Carl to just find an opportunity to utilize the early ultimate to get any sort of action going. As Quinn, he's got his eyes straight back on top. White Mom underneath the tower as Quincy Crew, they're pushing in. Quinn, he's going to be ready to move in. And with the 3 of them, there's no escape for White Mon. Quinn able to get himself involved in another piece of action. Another kill here for the roaming Ember Spirit as Quinn sweeps up and down the map, keeps himself on par here with the farm at the Doom with the amount of money that he's getting from these rotations.
You can see why Effie mentioned why Quinn was going to get a Spirit hero in this last pick, because they don't have the hero on T1 to counter these rotations. Quinn can just pick and choose wherever he wants to go. No support, not even a core is going to be safe underneath their own towers, and this should lead to map momentum on the side of Quincy Crew.
I mean, again, you know, they're just slowing down Carl's plays every time. LOA will dive for this, but the turnaround's coming in. Quinn and Leslie are ready to run him down. They've got the backup, TPing, in fact, Supernova as well. As Quinn, he'll jump away. They won't stay underneath this egg. They're happy with the pressure they force. Even though LOA dies, again, just a stomp, holding him back. The Doom was dropped down onto Yuar, but they couldn't follow up with any further damage as LOA, once more, continues to keep his cause safe.
It's so important that he's doing that. You can see, we saw it last game. We saw MSS tanking the ganks. This time around, we see SVG or LOA disengaging the ganks. It's such a crucial part of the way Quincy Crew plays the game, and they're the best at it, if you ask me.
Oh, they're really on a playing as a solid unit.
Only
Quinn, of course,
still
going
down,
straight for
though.
the Maelstrom this game. So what Savage is working on. He's working on his Dragon Lance into the SMY, of course, nothing too surprising there. Good levels on Zephyr, though, that move. He's got the level 7, so we'll have a bit more teamfight presence there. I up Carl in the mid lane, the 2 of them. MSS has hit the 6, so they've got a good bit of burst damage to throw into the plays that they make. Especially so once Quinn starts to get a few points into the chains, they'll have solid setup for MSS to get in the damage from afar.
Yeah, there's kind of a bit of the Alchemist effect going on here, I think. T1 up by 1K, but a lot of it's on this Doom with that Devour Gold, basically a free Midas. A lot of the Dooms we've been seeing do go for the Midas, but he's elected to make sure he can keep up with the rotations of Ember, at least slightly in the survivability sense. If he didn't have a hood, he would have gone down top, so Midas would have probably backfired there. But if he's the #1 net worth, eventually Terrorblade's going to have to carry his weight, and I don't know how he's going to do that if he doesn't have a second core that Quincy Crew has to worry about. And with this hood, he's not exactly a threat on the side of Carl.
Sure, like they're not blowing him up, but if they can just play around him, stop him from being able to find the opportunities to drop the Doom down on Yawar or Quinn, the impact from the Doom is not going to be too hard for Quincy Crew to deal with when it comes to these 5v5s. That Quincy Crew is, of course, going to look to try and bring, as we saw last time, their ability to fight as a team, definitely their huge strength when it comes to the mid-game plays. Stop, Quinn. He's got the setup on the 2 of them. Zephyr is trying to get his way out. They're going to get the jump in with the Dragon Tail. Supernova out as well. They're trying to drop the collar, but again with the slight fist and Remnant out. Quinn, he's able to break away from both ults. It's Quinn. He's out of it all. The chaotic offering of Supernova, it doesn't matter. Quinn's able to dance away. You got LOA coming in from the side. He's going to drop down the stomp and the ultimate on towards Cuckoo. As Quinn, he's ready for round 2. Comes back and he's reset. He's got mana to play with. Carl is charging in onto LOA, so LOA will fall. Quinn's still going to try and get back in there. Zephyr getting cut down super low from these slight fists. Quinn's going to have his Flame Guard up in a few seconds. He might want to run back in with it. As the Flame Guard's back up, another jump in with the Sleight of Fist. I mean, he knows once sort of the positioning of T1 is shown, it's very hard for T1 to get a catch on him. T1, even though they have the numbers, they have to sort of back away.
Yeah, Doom relies on walking in and getting that Doom off, and you're dealing with wall, ET stop, hoodwink spells, searing chains. It's just frustrating as they do get the initiation again.
Yeah, they'll get the catch on Lesnar, he'll go down. It's doing a lot here for Carl.
That's a super value purge. You mentioned it on the Flame Guard, but you have it on the Ion Shell, the Surge, even the ET Spirit buff. This might legit be the most value purge creep game in Doom history.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be getting rid of this one. Yeah, absolutely. So many moves that Carl can get done with this. It's definitely solving some of the problems that they're having in these fights. Of course, whilst all this action's been going on at the top, Yawar continuing to go unhindered down bottom, but the same to be said for Savage. At the moment, still Yawar slightly ahead of the Terrorblade, but only about 1k gold in it between the 2 carries.
Yeah, the carry-to-carry matchup does go in favor of 23 Savage, so I've been talking about all these things that are going to make it difficult for him to carry, but if Doom and DK can throw themselves in the fray and 23 Savage getting all this space on the map to get the necessary items, that's how you deal with counters, just get a lot of items. And it seems simple, but not so easy to execute, but T1 doing a great job so far. I'm really liking the way both teams are playing. I think they're both really catering towards their win conditions, and it's really just going to come down to who jumps who later on in the game.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So when it comes to that, you said the carry versus carry edge, the 23 Savage is, you think for the most part, T1, they're not going to be in too much of a rush to proactively look for plays on Quincy Crew's side of the map. It's going to be more reactive from them.
Yeah, this is a really hard game to gauge how both teams want to play as a carry player, because usually you're just like, do I win the late game matchup one-on-one? As we see Leslau doesn't get the purge off. I think he purged himself.
I think he might have. I don't think it's going to... Or maybe it will matter, actually, with Leslau with these jukes. No, it won't. Cuckoo, he manages to find him. Gets in with the Dragon Tail stun. They catch Leslau under the combo.
Okay, mid lane. They still have more ultimates. Warlock Golem, Doom. They're all here. Good awareness from Quincy Crew to back off, but they're just shutting down every single ult.
Cuckoo's in. Dragon Tail into the chaotic offering. This time they're able to stack them up perfectly. 2 lockdowns
dodging
enough
that
to catch Quinn off guard and take him down whilst he's low.
Okay. T1, these are clean rotations. They have limited stuns, but they're utilizing the DK stun. We're seeing what this first round DK allows you to do with your draft. If you look at the other 4 heroes and you remove the DK from the equation, I'd ask myself, like, how the hell did these guys get anything done? But the instant Dragon Tail with the blink is enabling their lineup so hard, and they're able to turn it into objectives every single time because of that Terrorblade meta. We're seeing the potency of their lineup.
Oh, LOA. Oh, he's found himself in a bit of a nightmarish position, surrounded by the 4 of T1 there in the river. He's not getting home safely as they'll take out the ET. Another kill to be added here to the scoreboard of T1.
Yeah, these are definitely some heroes I would see in my nightmares. You got 3 demons on the side of T1.
Yeah, it's a pretty spooky lineup. Same with the space now. MSS is starting to catch up and going for the Maelstrom this time round, so he's going to have some good scalability himself, in fact, on the Hoodwink.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if more heroes itemized to carry, just based on how many anti-carry heroes there are in this game.
If you're able to sort of split the scalability, the ability to hold your own, it's going to make the decision a lot harder for heroes like Carl, who's really needs to sort of save the Doom for, who's worth it being thrown down on. Off to the side, they'll get Zephyr with the stomp, see if they can blow him up. They certainly can. They line up the shot, and MSS, he's in with a finishing blow there.
Fail plus ET Aura. That every single spell is going to hurt that much more.
Oh, in the river, Quinn is going to get caught again. They've got the Dragon Tail into the Doom. They've got to try and get Quinn out of there, but this time around, I don't know if they'll be able to do so. The Fatal Bond's bringing them down. They've got the kill, but the counterplay, Eloy's in with the stomp onto 2 as they'll run down Carl and Cuckoo. They're actually going to go for the split here. Carl's able to get out to the side, but Cuckoo will be found here with a bushwhack. Bring down Cuckoo. Get themselves the opportunity to turn now back over towards the Tier 1 tower. With Yua's presence, they will manage to keep pushing in. They have got Supernova on T1. They can actually look for a defense here, and Zephyr getting in aggressively, pushing them back. Be able to buy themselves a little more time here with the Tier 1 towers. Quincy Crew, they're backing off completely. Yua doesn't want any part of this. He knows that they still have a very solid team fight ready to throw out. He'll resume to farm and get working on getting this BKB done.
It just seems so difficult to play these mobile heroes like Ember Spirit against the DK. He got surged in there, and the surge is meant to be the way they deal with Doom. The idea of Darkseer usually being pretty decent against Doom, even though they did pick the Doom to deal with the Darkseer, is that you have to Doom the Darkseer, because otherwise your teammate gets surged, similar to a Centaur Stampede from across the map. But because they used it to get him in there, suddenly he's dead in the water. Literally.
So Quinn, as you say, Linker's Sphere is going to be the item of the game. And he needs it, last few times. The Dragon Tail has been the death of Quinn. He's positioned aggressively, so Quincy Crew maybe falling back on just getting that done. So Yua, he'll want the BKB for the next fight. 23 Savage, his progress also similar territory towards his BKB after the Dragon Lance S and Y. So he's going to be very solid himself when he stands on the front in these fights. As bottom, do sweep over towards Carl. Again, these movements that we've come to get very used to from Quincy Crew, where they'll move around as 5, looking to fight and ensure that the Yua is able to find these safe spots to farm him. Zephyr will be caught in the river. We'll see if Quinn can force out maybe the Supernova. He's trying his best with the poke at the slide fish. In fact, he's getting in with the Remnant. Really wanting to get that Supernova out of him. The Stomp comes out to hold back 23 Savage. They'll drop the Golem, but Quinn, he's not quite in range of the Supernova stun. So Quinn, he's got no Remnant left though. Another Sleight of Fist.
Can he live?
You know what's going to be popped out? He has one left laid down inside the triangle actually of T1 that will jump over towards. He's got the TP, but Savage on top of them, has he got the damage? He hasn't. Quinn, he makes it out of there. He's back to base. Quinn, with some beautiful moves, pokes out the Supernova response from T1. The Golem as well. Hey, he gets away with it. He doesn't die, Brian.
That was simply epic. That's a master tier Ember Spear right there. Knowing his limits.
I mean, that really is.
He remnanted it back into them just because they had chased him so far at that point. It was his only resource left. Really cool play.
No, it was. He didn't have any more to throw out. It was already set and done, the one that he was heading to. And it's enough. Dances his way out of danger, Quinn.
Every avoidance of death that he can have leading up to this Lincoln Sphere is so crucial because it just becomes so much more difficult for T1 to ever jump in because that blink stun from the DK is required. They don't have easy ways to break that Lincoln. Cuckoo might consider something like a Halberd with his Ogre Club, but the thing is he needs a BKB because they just have so much magic damage and control on the side of Quincy Crew.
Oh, they really do. T1, they will try and make a hit here with the Blink Doom ready to go. Carl.
2 BKBs.
Who can he watch?
Yeah, they have literally no damage on the side of Quincy Crew through these BKBs. They cannot take this fight. They'll have to disengage once those BKBs are popped.
Cuckoo, he's put the Elder Dragon form, he's ready to go in. He's going to jump in aggressively onto Quinn. He's going to get caught out with the push, right? I think I'm going to be able to blow him up. He doesn't even get the chance to get the BKB off. The damage from Quincy Crew's explosive lineup. I mean, he just disappeared, Brian. Not much of a Dragon Knight at all. And they're ready for more. They're going to put the egg, but you was him with the BKB. They could just focus the Supernova. The Supernova's going to come to an end. They'll step over towards Savage. Savage trying to hold his ground with the BKB. They will respect him here, Quincy Crew. As they'll step back, but 3 heroes dead. Quincy Crew, the damage coming out from these heroes, my goodness. You've got to be ready for it if you're T1. 1 stun, and you're literally dead.
Yeah, he was looking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs there as he was hungry, too hungry, one may argue, as he blinks in, holding the BKB, and once he goes down, they have no stuns on T1. Quincy Crew is absolutely afraid of nothing, and you can see that he is so paramount to them being able to execute properly, getting the catches out, and being able to actually dish out damage in the entire lineup of T1. Net worth lead's still in their favor, pretty much the same as it was before. Pretty shocking, but those BKB durations are already going down. Fortunately for DK, because he did not press his, he still got that 9-second BKB.
I guess, yeah, the big brain play will tell you on that. Saving it for next time.
The reverse Chinese BKB.
Yeah. We'll see if next time Cuckoo's able to get it off us. If you're not able to press the BKB in these fights, you will not be able to live to tell the tale here against Quincy Crew.
So what's the next objective is the question.
Carl. Ooh, Quinn's in the trees. Carl. Not finding the opening. Anyway, starts to try and get some war control back. Cuckoo's going to be in with the jump. They're swinging over with Zephyr. Zelaway's looking pretty dead here. No efforts here for Quincy Crew to fight back. The BKB actually popped from Carl there as he tries to release himself so he can close in on Quinn with the Doom, but Quinn, again, just has Remnant set up. Not leaving any chance here for Carl to get the Doom down onto the Ember Spirit as Quinn continues to dance on the very edge of his reach, very close to having the Lincoln Sphere done, so it's not going to get any easier for T1. Yeah, they really want to keep on punching, but this fight, of course, will be taken with the BKB of Carl on cooldown, so he's got to be careful. Now get the jump.
No meta.
Onto MSS. Golem dropped as well. And look over towards it, but oh, why? He was quick with the BKB. Very quick with the BKB. Gets it off before the Doom's down. Also gets surged back. They'll turn towards Leslau. The Supernova's down. Leslau burning to the Sun Ray of the Phoenix. He will die. So T1, they're able to get the 2 of them. Quincy Crew want to try and fight 3 versus 5. They may just do so. Yawa, he's heading in with the Eclipse. He's ready to go. Cuckoo, he's trying to stand his ground with the BKB. He's going to go for the TP out. Will manage to make it away. Quinn, he's hot on the heels of Carl. Chasing down the Doom, he's going to have Chains in a second here with a Sleight of Fist. See if Quincy Crew can get a grab out of this, but he's away. The blink up just in time. Zephyr's going to go for the TP away. He's also out of it. No catch for the Phoenix. T1, they'll be able to get him with the hit, and they'll get out of there.
They had no Metamorph and no BKB on Doom, and they still took a favorable engagement. Even if they don't have all of their spells, they just have so many spells. And Quincy Crew, quite frankly, isn't that great at dealing with this crap that T1's dumping on the ground, such as the Egg, the Golem. They have a lot of AoE hero damage, but it's not the best against summons or buildings.
Cuckoo. Step and get that invis. catch up with the chains on the high ground. LOA trying for the stomp control.
It's even a defensive purge for the chains. I mentioned all the ways he could use it offensively, but he just immediately removes the chains from his allies.
I mean, Quincy Crew, they're looking at the road shot. I don't know if they can walk in for this. That's taking Roche does not seem an option. The Bond's down onto the 4 of them as well. They can't go for the objective whilst T1's up. T1 will more than happily take a fight around the pit. Supernova soon to be back up. 20 seconds for Zephyr.
I don't know how I feel about this Ags for Leslau, because it's so important that you keep the ion shells on the target because it gives them that extra HP, but they have so many ways to remove it, just with the Doom Purge from the ultimate as well as the Purge Creep. So if he gets doomed on the cores that have the ion shell on them, this Ags is basically wasted. It is going to help him push a lot of different lanes, so maybe he's going for the acceleration into future items, which we're seeing he's queuing up the Greaves. The sustain game for Quincy Crew is going to be so important because it seems like they're not having too hard of a time surviving that initial volley, but then they're not healthy enough to be able to fight afterwards, so then T1's then able to chase them down. So if they can be even just half HP or so afterwards, they'll be able to stand their ground.
Oh, mid. Look at the setup on a Cuckoo. They've got the stun control. Have they got enough damage? They do once again. They blow up Cuckoo. As with that kill, they'll be able to have no struggles running down Whitemite. A couple of kills for Yawar. I mean, once again, it's just one stun and you are dead. Quincy Crew, they're ready to chase down for more. 2 kills achieved. They want to get more out of this. Carl and Zephyr have been scanned out here by Quinn. Quinn not going to find Carl with the sleight of fist. Quincy Crew, they'll turn towards the Roshan instead. It's T1. See if they're able to contest this. 23 Savage hovering around the pit. Quinn, he's going to have an arcane rune ready for the next fight. Could be a scare on for T1 to take. Carl's waiting outside the pit, does have the blink BKB ready to go. With Quinn doing his best to force them back away from it all. Carl, he's in, does manage to pop the Lincolns and get the drop down onto Quinn.
Search.
So they'll try and get Quinn out to the side. He is going to be protected by Yawar's presence again. MSS, another bit of great control here from the Hoodwink.
800 damage.
The acorn shot. Bushwhack setup, it's doing it. Carl is jumping back in on this, but the Dooms come to an end. Quinn is able to get the slide off. Once more, MSS with this acorn shot at Bushwhack holds Carl back. Carl has to run here with the BKB. He can't continue to push on as MSS. He's really having some beautiful angles here as the Hoodwink.
Yeah, you don't need too many stuns if you can kill them in one. That is what I am learning from Quincy Crew's lineup, as the Veil plus ET Aura, they don't have too many nukes, but every nuke just does so much damage. And the Enchanted Quiver as well for Quinn, so that's just an extra 300 damage nuke on there. Scotty, Terrorblade. He's farmed. All the cores are pretty farmed.
Savages, yeah.
Okay, 4-step on DK. I don't think I've ever seen that. Is that? Oh, that's just to break the Lincolns. That's kind of cool. It's good against the chains, good against the ET ultimate and the sleep for himself and his teammates. And it also breaks the Lincolns. Okay. I like these small adjustments in items.
Quincy Crew very ready to proactively take some fights here. They'll smoke up headed towards the Roche. They want to go for a kill first. They do. LOA spotting out things on the high ground. They've caught Cuckoo again. He's not going to get the chance to get the BKB off. The force out of the side. He'll break himself away from the combo, and this time round gets the BKB off. He will manage to escape. In fact, he's ready to look to get back in on there. They'll look towards Quinn. Get the Dragon Tail stun off. No Doom available for 30 seconds. They'll run back in over towards Carl. Carl holding onto the BKB himself. Going to keep his cool, won't be pressured to use it. Over on the side, 23 Savage, he's able to wrap around, find MSS. Now with a man down, Quincy Crew, they're going to head back. The Supernova's going to be pot. Yawar, he immediately turns with the BKB, holds his ground, takes down the egg, turns towards Cuckoo. Cuckoo will fall. Yawar, he's so low, but he's actually able to bring Carl down. Carl, he's out to the side, but Yawar goes out. They will manage to take the fight here. T1 is Savage. He's too strong. They can't kill this Terrorblade. LOA has to run. He's going to drop the stomp with the sleep to hold back 23 Savage. Glimmer Cape with the TP. Will he make it away? This damage is too high. 23 Savage. 3 hits from the Terrorblade. As they'll clean up the fight, T1, and they'll be able to get the Roche as well.
This set on TB might be a life hack because I couldn't even tell he was double damaged until I looked at, like I clicked on it. 23 Savage had a double damage rune that entire time, and it just only illuminates at like the very bottom of his character model. And I don't even know if Quincy Crew is fully aware. You can look at this fight, I barely see it.
I mean, there's a lot of chaos going on, but I mean, you're right. Amongst the BKB and the effects, it's very hard to see what's going on here from Savage. But he certainly knows what's happening, Savage. MSS still able to keep the spirits high here despite dying at the start of the last fight. I mean, all in all, they may have lost the team fight, but they managed to start to get back over towards the pit before Roche falls. Quinn, can he look for a steal? He's going to head into the pit. They put the Linkers. Quinn, he's able to do it! He's able to do it, Quinn! He gets the kill. He's out with the Remnant. He takes the Aegis. Quinn with a great steal. Well, not just a steal, the kill as well. Quinn, he takes the glory here away from T1 right underneath their noses.
Yeah, SCA getting a little taste of their own medicine. We saw TNC take a victory because of a Aegis snatch by RML super late. Now this one's not, I would say, as game-changing as that one, but damn, what a play by Quinn. It may very well decide the victor of this game, because it's more so if they let Terrorblade have Aegis, he'd be able to navigate fights so much more easily and more so play the map more aggressively. And slowly but surely, I think this Luna would fall behind in farm, but wow, what a sick player. We saw it there again, as it's going to allow him to play with the Ion Shell on him and be willing to tank the Doom for the sake of his team, where we're kind of seeing him evade the Doom, which is great and all, but then it's getting thrown onto Yawar or Leslau. And now he's going to be able to run in with impunity.
Be feeling very good about that one. Quinn setting up things in the mid to get the hit in onto Cuckoo. Vacuum of the walls drop down. Cuckoo just dying here to the illusion. He's got to put the BKB and run. He'll manage to get out of the side, Quinn. See if they can get him the once. As Yawar is coming from the side, Carl will put the BKB to get himself away from this Eclipse. All right, Quinn's going to be ready for round 2. Carl continuing to run. They're ready to chase the gap here with the Remnant. Not quite able to find Carl with the sleight of fist, though. So Carl, he'll manage to blink away.
Okay, so Yawar looks like he's going for the hybrid build on Luna. I don't know how I feel about this, to be frank, because they have no way to deal with BKBs, and I would have considered maybe a Scotty for him and the movement speed talents, but I think he's relying on the Shard eventually later because it's going to be hard to get into the fights, and I think he's also saying that maybe we can't win the fights during their BKBs anyways. Let's be able to kite them a bit better, and then my Lucent Beams can go to town. I like this idea. It seems weird in theory, but I think he's onto something.
Let's see what T1 can get with the smoke. No Doom, of course, for a good minute on Carl. There's going to be a fight built around the other team fight ultimates. Quincy Crew looking relatively prepared for this, though. They're all here, the 5 of them around this tier 2 mid.
Full MKB on 23 Savage, already counteracting the MKB from the Luna. It's a nice item as well against the Darkseer. Doesn't really benefit his illusions at all. Does give them a bit of attack speed, but it's really important that if you can, without screwing yourself over, to not make that wall illusion even stronger.
T1 will just settle here for tier 2 bottom. Showing themselves for the push. Quincy Crew not looking to get involved in it quite yet. You are ideally getting a Satanic done before the next fight that they're forced into. Quinn as well. Spare 600 gold off the Aghanims. Make sure that that purchase is complete before he feels forced to fight him. This wave of the tier 2 tower top should be able to close the gap on the goals here that they're looking towards Quincy Crew.
Yeah, more Lotuses, more Lincoln Spheres. We need more of them. Hoodwink's got one queued up.
See out of the way. He's got 1,600 gold, so very likely that he also might get something as the sorts to try and play around these single target spells that T1's throwing out in the action.
Quinn's almost got the eggs. That's going to be pretty important for his map mobility. He's having a little bit of problems with limits on his remnants here.
They're able to disengage.
Yeah,
Quincy
looks like
Crew,
they're
poking
content to
south.
force it.
I'm still sticking around the area, Quincy Crew. MSS maybe seeing if he can get a catch on anyone that steps up to the wave. And Zephyr's playing very cautiously. Staying behind the tier 2 tower, is as low as it is here on this top lane. T1 looking to also bait something out of this themselves. MSS, he'll show. Gonna lead straight away and onto Zephyr. He's gonna get the big hit first, not quite enough to take Zephyr down. They'll turn with the golems dropped here. As Joie, again, able to get the BKB off before the Doom was dropped down. MSS in the trees will go straight for the TP out. He's actually gonna stick around. Maybe see if they can look to turn this one around. A very good shot on Book Sprack, this time off the mark, because he won't get any control onto the two of them. Zephyr diving through the trees, hunting for MSS, but MSS continues to keep himself hidden. So at the end of it all, you know, Doom's been utilized, so is the Chaotic Offering. Quincy Crew, they're able to split, and nobody's going to fall to the effects of these big ultimates dropped by T1.
Yeah, smoke up. Leslie on point with those surge usages.
Yeah, this is the time to hit back. You know, T1's not got their full repertoire of ultimates ready to throw in. He's already off to the side. Leslie, he's ready to go. The Supernova's going to be committed. Once more, it's going to be another ultimate that Quincy Crew simply can bait out, step to the side of. So now pretty much everything has been used here by T1. Very little for Quincy Crew to be scared of in this next minute of play whilst these cooldowns are on.
Yeah, but look at all these lanes being cut by Terrorblade illusions. Top lane was cut, middle lane's being pressured, the tier 2 might even go down, bottom lane's pushed in. It's not exactly efficient for them to be sitting here.
Dire's top tower.
No creeps.
Do need more. 23 Savage getting so far ahead. So catch Whitemon, another nice 4-star, trying to break him out of the combo. Quinn's going to chase in on though. In with the Remnant, sets up for the Vision as Joie, drops down a beam. Takes the life of Whitemon over to the side. They caught Carl. Again, another bit of control from MSS once more, locking down these heroes before they get anything off. No chance for a BKB or refresher to be used as these quick catches from MSS just causing the death of hero after hero despite them having a BKB in their inventory.
Yeah, a little bit of discontinuity in the game plan for T1. There's a reason why 23 Savage has cut all those creep waves. There's just no reason for you to have to fight there, especially when all your ultimates are on cooldown. So it's understandable sometimes your support's gonna get caught out, but Carl, it's just, you can't go in as a core there. It's just not a good fight decision, as that's exactly what Quincy Crew wants. The lanes do not look good. They don't want to give up the one position of pressure they have on the map, but you just kind of give it to them. Will they be able to capitalize? That is the question. Roche is clearly the objective they want. Looks like it's going to start spawning potentially in the next minute to 4 minutes. And at least this time around, it's just letting his ultimate come off cooldown for Doom.
MSS for the setup. This time Zephyr's out of the range of it. He'll get out up to the high ground. He's fine. The space is here. They'll force out the fortification. T1, they'll have Doom back in the game in a few seconds, but the tier 2 is already gone. Another tower taken by Quincy Crew. 23 Savage playing on this bottom half. Carl's ready to come over and join him as well to make sure that he's kept fully safe. Level 23 on the Terrorblade. Satanic, BKB, Scardy. As we've seen in the last few fights, they pretty much had to ignore him. Killing 23 Savage is going to be incredibly difficult, even with all the amp up and buffs they do have for their burst. This Terrorblade is huge. Mid. Drop the Doom down onto Leslie. Back up to the ready, MSS. The two-man bushwhack. They're going to chase down Leslie. Shiva's guard slow from Carl, and Leslie trying to hide. Got any way to deny him? I mean, deny him. Or is it actually going to be enough for you? Oh, they believed in the regen, but it was not enough, and he does still end up ticking out to the damage from Carl's Doom.
Yeah, they are buying so many Lincoln Spheres and no Lotus Orbs. So what that's telling me is that Quincy Crew doesn't think it's good enough to reflect these spells. They think they have to block them entirely.
Ready, they get the jump on Quinn, and here we go, Carl. He'd already prepped the second Doom with a refresher used in the jungle, so they have the catch for Quinn. Quinn's gone.
That's
huge
the force
jumps
staff
here from T1. They're ready to look towards the high ground. See what they do here. Savage, he's got the Metamorphosis ready to go. He's going to start chipping away at the tier 3 here in the melee form. Quinn does have a buyback if he feels it's necessary. How well can Quincy Crew hold against the power of 23 Savage's Terrorblade? Tier 3 tower gone. Quinn still holding on the buyback. It's T1. They're actually gonna back off, even though Quinn's not coming back into it. They'll respect the defensive potential of the rest of Quincy Crew, and they won't throw anything away here. It's overstaying their welcome. Roshan respawn. Couldn't really come at a better time here for T1. It is up now. If they check this pit in a second, they will find it. Buyback comes out from Quinn. He does not want to let T1 get Roshan freely.
Might have been a bit hasty there. They were going to check it with ET. And maybe they were worried about how fast T1 could take it. Not the fastest Roche lineup, though.
Noir, he's in. They want a Savage. Again, Acorn into the bushwhack. If they got the burst, they don't. BKB's able to get easily off from 23 Savages. Turns his attention over towards Yawar. Yawar holds his ground with the BKB and the Eclipse. They've dropped the Supernova. Lesnar trying to search his way out, but the Dragon Tail's done in. Carl, he's in on top of Yawar. Yawar goes down. They've got the control on the Quinn as well. If the Golden drop down, they completely keep him controlled. Quinn's out. Die back on the Ember Spirit. Both cores out. In fact, the Darkseer's what? A third core down. As that is going to be a huge window for T1 to get this Roshan to run down a lane, as Quincy Crew is down to the two poor old supports here to try and hold against the full power of T1. In fact, T1, they're saying, screw Roche, we're going to look to try and end it. We know there's no buyback on the Ember. This is a huge window for them to punish and do immense damage here to the base of Quincy Crew.
He's got a Rapier. 23 Savage is done with this game.
Yeah, he's ready to try and close it. And they're going to call it. They see the Rapier, they know damage is done. There's no defense to be had here as T1. They will manage to get this second game around the power of 23 Savage's big old Terrorblade. As fast and furious as Quincy Crew tried to bring the action, the scalability and the ability to end the game like that just comes in a bit of a flash, and we're going to a game 3, Brian.
Yeah, it seems like Luna's the hero that Quincy Crew came into this series as going to be their source of victory. And first game, they had the 4th pick and they were able to ban out this Terrorblade as well as many other counters. But this time around, they're dealing with quite a much more difficult Luna game. And Yawar not able to have the same impact that he had the first time around. I liked their lineup, but it was just hard countered by BKBs. And once they got 3 BKBs on the side of T1, it just looked much easier for them to play the fights, despite a few overextensions and burst down by the Bushwhack.
Yeah, some very fun plays coming out from both sides here, but without a doubt, you just look at the KDA really of 23, 5, 1, and 5. Not involved in sort of the majority. Well, okay, it was 10 out of the 19 kills, but a lot of time spent just having all the space in the world that T1 was able to create for him. Didn't work out for them, that sort of strategy in the first game, but this time around, it absolutely does. The power of the Terrorblade is too much to deal with. Quincy Crew, itemization was on point, but it was just too much. Brian, going into game 3, I mean, from what we've seen, what's your sort of big takeaway from how both these teams are playing today in this series?
I think I want first pick, because that 4th pick both series has been the absolute menace going into the late game. The Luna first game, Terrorblade the second game. Both teams seem to be executing pretty well. It's just a matter of who outscales who, because it looks like they're both content to farm.
It does indeed. Thank you very much, Brian and ODPixel. What a game. What a game. I want to start with this game. First of all, obviously well played to T1, but I do want to start with the aggressive tri-lane because we don't see them very often at all during this entire major. I think this might have been one of the very few ones, so I want to start with that because it's so unusual, Curtis. And obviously it didn't work out in this case either.
Yeah, I think Effie was talking about it in a green room, and she noticed that even though they kept Terrorblade level 2 for a long time, the problem with the tri-lane is that it made their Darkseer have a really bad game. Of the list of offlaners in Dota, I think Darkseer is the one where you don't want to go into the safe lane the most. You just naturally push out that wave. If you lose lane equilibrium in the safe lane, you don't really have any play options. I also think Quincy Crew sort of misunderstood their lineup. If I look at their heroes, I actually think the carry in this game is Darkseer. You need to ensure that this hero has a good game in order to scale against T1 draft.
Yeah, their entire combination, right, is about being able to get off a good wall of replica onto this TB. That illusion is so powerful. And then they've got good AoE damage to follow up with the vacuum. That's one thing I actually really liked about the fact that they drafted this Hoodwink, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the hero, is the fact that it was additional AoE disabled that they can throw in off of a vacuum on top of the ET, right? Both of those supports work so well with the Darkseer. So the fact that they didn't set this Darkseer up for success, I think cost them a lot. And when it comes to team fights, you can see the team fights are so much easier to play when you've got, if you look at the two supports on the side of T1, Warlock and Phoenix, like if they both get off their ultimate in a 5v5, it's tough to be able to play if you're Quincy Crew.
I think there's a trend I've been seeing with people picking Luna. It's every time she has a single target damage hero mid, she tends to win the game. But every time they pick stuff like Ember or like more AoE control, you're sort of double downing on something that Luna's already good at. You need to cover her weaknesses when you pick this hero. She farms really fast, and she sort of plays like a 1v5 hero, but she lacks a single target damage. We saw in some of those fights in the recap, she pressed BKB and she had to run.
Yeah.
You need someone to make it so that when she presses BKB, you can stand and fight because someone's dishing out that single target.
Yeah, and that's like you especially want that single target damage when it comes to Terrorblade. I keep on seeing these Terrorblade lineups where I feel like the Terrorblade is relatively unthreatened from being able to get off Sunder in team fights, right? It's here in this game, like they could have played longer team fights if they get the right kind of wall out, but it's still kind of scary. I feel like in so many of these fights, it's just easy for Carl to be able to kind of run forward, soak up a lot of tension, knowing that his two supports are going to have his back with a big team fight spell, and this Terrorblade just kind of goes uncontested.
Yeah, I think when you say this Terrorblade, 23 Savage had a fantastic game. He got, of course, pressured a little bit. And then what's wrong?
They did 140k damage versus 86k, and they lost the game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How is that? That must be. I mean,
they have a lot of tanky
they
heroes
had
and heals,
a lot of burst damage coming out from MSF.
No, it's just a lot of tanky heroes on the T1 side.
Yeah,
plus Thunder, plus
Heal.
Warlock heal, Phoenix Beam.
Yeah.
Also, like
the
Sunray,
mech Holy Lockets.
You have this mech plus Holy Locket. You have so much heal that combined with the lack of single target damage, if you also are throwing a bunch of heals into the mix, like you're throwing a bunch of damage, but nothing's dying. So, yeah, I think these team fights were a big problem. Maybe if they got off to a better start in the laning phase, like you were talking about, then Quincy Crew could have run away with it.
Yeah, it feels like they want Ember to snowball, but the Darkseer doesn't have the levels of farm to keep up with him and enable him in that sense. I think also I want to commend T1. I think their read on the draft was very good. I think a lot of teams would be honestly a bit scared of picking a DK into a Terrorblade. It doesn't feel good to pick two cores like that. But they understand that if they pick this Terrorblade, they theoretically should always have the win condition onto Quincy Crew, because Terrorblade is probably the best carry matchup versus Luna, I'd say. On top of that, they managed to solidify their late game by just picking a do mid and just having a ton of team fight under supports, as Cav was mentioning earlier.
How do you view that matchup, the TB versus DK? Because on one hand, I look at it and I feel like...
TB versus Luna?
Yeah, no, like you said, it feels picking Terrorblade into DK, right?
No, they picked DK,
They
like on their
DK
team, DK into
Terrorblade.
Terrorblade. They first picked DK and then they picked
it was the
Terrorblade
opening too, was DK Terrorblade,
Yeah.
which is very core heavy, which is normally not the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying basically the matchup, like when I see that DK, I just know it's going to be relatively low damage, right? So the Terrorblade, I think, is always, again, feeling unthreatened to be able to get off that Sunder. I just feel like this is a really big deal for every single one of these TB lineups that I've seen be successful, is that there isn't the potential of being able to burst this hero down.
Yeah, for sure. For Terrorblade versus Luna, though, I think not having that carry matchup, it just felt awkward for them in the end. I think we saw in game 1 of this series that Quincy Crew were able to get those core matchups. It just felt like T1 lacked damage in that game, and in this game, it felt like
they had it covered with the Terrorblade.
They had it covered, and moreover, like they were able to out-heal the Quincy Crew lineup's damage, as we can saw from the damage numbers, high damage but not a lot of kills. So Quincy ended up being the ones who ran out of damage in this game.
They did indeed, and there were moments though where it looked like it was still gonna be turned around, right?
Yeah, for
we
sure.
had a great Aegis steal, Roshan Aegis
that
steal.
was slick, actually.
That was super
very
slick.
smooth for sure. But in some ways, it felt like at that point in the game, I remember thinking like this Aegis pickup, I was like, oh, that's nice and stuff, but I almost felt like it was just stalling out what was inevitable. I mean,
Yeah,
that's that was my
I don't think they could contest some late game with Darkster's game going how it is.
Yeah.
The win condition for Quincy Crew that game was Darkster being Omega fat so that they feel like they have to doom him. I don't feel like they felt that pressure in the game. And yeah, I mean, both teams, I want to say in both game and one, the team that lost was able to make some very clutch plays.
Yeah.
They were able to drag that game closer, and I mean, that makes me really hopeful for this hype game 3.
Yeah, you hope that it's going to be a bit more even this time around. You think it will be. 'Cause we've seen both teams do well now, and it, as Brian said, he felt like the series, the games so far were decided on who is first pick.
Yeah, I feel like the adjustments that T1 made in the draft were very good, and I feel like Quincy Crew will be able to make similar adjustments going into the Game 3 draft. I think Quincy Crew over-indexed a bit on this Luna, or maybe underestimated the risks that T1 would be willing to take in order to beat it. I think, like, strategically, first tuning your carry from second pick, like in Dota theory, it's fundamentally wrong because you're just revealing a lot. You're giving them this big mashup there. Quincy Crew basically bet that Luna would be strong enough to overcome that like lapse in theory. Sometimes heroes do that, usually when they're broken, and they were wrong. It's fine. Go game 3.
Go game 3. That's what we're getting. I think that's a treat for everyone here. A little bit more Dota in the midnight. I think it's good. It's a good treat. I want to know who you guys felt was the MVP for T1 in this game too, because we talk a lot about draft and about how the game played out based on the draft. But it's the players that make the moves. Who made the best moves?
I think Zephyr definitely stood out. Like, Zephyr had some really good teamfight impact for sure. I will say, one clutch moment, which was Whitemon being able to drop the chaotic offering to be able to break a tree off of the hoodwink where she managed to get the bushwhack onto like the DK.
Yeah,
I think it was.
It was planned too because DK instantly forced out themselves. Like they had sort of planned for that moment, at least talk for it, or maybe just really fast reactions from Cuckoo. But yeah, that was a good abuse of the mechanics of hoodwink.
Use.
Please. Yes, sorry.
Please.
Same thing.
But yeah, I would say the supports definitely look good there. But I think Carl being activated was a big deal for T1. I felt like I didn't see his presence as much in game 1.
I mean, he was the DK, like a little bit more passive that time around, right?
I think for sure. I think Carl took over this game. I think even when the game was looking good for Quincy Crew, Carl was just up there on the net worth. Yeah. Eventually, he built his items in a way where Quincy Crew had no chance to win the game. As soon as Refresher War was out, like that game was done, I think. I do want to commend 23 Savage's Terrorblade as well. I felt like every time Quincy Crew had an opportunity to chain a play off a kill, the illusions were pushing out the lanes and just limiting what Quincy Crew could do on the map. I don't know how much he stood out that game because I think his team overall just played at a very high level. But he did all the fundamentals of Terrorblade really well.
Now, this is, of course, an upper bracket series, right? Nobody is getting eliminated anymore today, anyway. Winner of this goes up against PSG.LGD, who we've seen is the strongest team in this tournament so far. Who has it? We've seen both teams now show their hand a little bit. Who do you feel has a better shot? I know that both of you think that neither has a great shot against PSG.LGD, but who has like the better shot in terms of playstyle? Because both of the games we saw, it almost feels like they have a similar playstyle, and I don't know if that's just because of how the games have played out, but curious to hear.
So for me anyway, when I watch Nigma versus LGD, there's a certain speed in the game that is rather apparent to me, especially from the Nigma side, especially the way that they're able to collapse onto this mid-tier 1 tower so quickly. But for LGD, it seems a little bit more like they have a stronger understanding of overall team timings. And I think that is something that both of these teams did struggle a little bit. There was a little bit of a lapse when I felt like they were about to get their strongest peak of time, but they made some sort of error and it kind of lost them a bit of control of the game. I think we saw that both in Quincy Crew and T1.
Yeah.
And I think a team like LGD, who managed to read team fight timing so well, actively conceding, right? Their mid-tier 1 tower, which is a weird thing to do, I think. But they're like, no, you can have that. You can have the safe lane tier 1 too, in exchange for hitting a later timing. I think that's something that that would be a poor matchup, I think, for both of these teams.
I think LGD are just playing pretty beautiful Dota. With that said, I would like to see Quincy Crew go up against LGD, not because of the matchup, but because I think they have a spy with them. They have KBBQ. He basically acted as the manager for Wings Gaming the year that they won TI. I think we saw in the interview with Faith Beyond earlier, he was very adamant about his support for Quincy Crew. So I want to see that rivalry come out. I think that would be an interesting dynamic there.
I believe our drafting panel is doing a little bit of a seance, a little bit of something going on there to try and summon the draft of Game 3.
I would love to see the draft of Game 3, but we're not there yet. You know, look at that. What do you need for a draft? Drafters. Teams. We haven't gotten them back yet.
That was really smart.
Sorry. Dude, Curtis is full of snark that you don't expect. He just looks like a nice, young, polite boy, you know, has smart things to say, and then all of a sudden, you're just getting clowned on by him. And you're like, why? I thought he was nice. I thought he was my friend.
I thought he always spoke the truth, very honest.
No, it's not true at all.
No, it's not true at all. It's very sad. I am right, though. You do need drafters for...
you are right.
So,
yeah.
you know. Thank you. Complimenting me.
All right, so looking back at draft-wise, right, we're talking about first pick. Do you change that up? Do you... I'm not sure if I'm willing to, like, ban the DK, per se.
And what are you going to let through instead of the DK? T1 has been banning Timber and Clock in the previous game. Before that, TA Viper. And Quincy Crew previous game banned Enchantress and Viper.
I think Enchantress is a permaban this series.
100%.
So I don't think you can give that up.
Yep.
Banning DK instead of... So they would ban... Quincy Crew, they would ban...
Quincy Crew, previous game, they banned Enchantress Viper, and in the first game, where they had first pick, they banned a Lion and a Baden.
Okay. I mean, I think you should be able to ban heroes over the Lion and a Baden, but I will say that T1's Viper was the only offlane Viper in this, like, basically the entire tournament, in my opinion, that I felt like had a huge impact after the laning stage. So I wouldn't want to play versus Viper. I'd rather craft a strategy versus Dragonite. That was because I think Cuckoo's understanding hero was really good. I think he went for more of a right-click, use the poison attack build instead of the normal, like, tanky Atos stuff I see. I don't think Viper is actually supposed to be played as a tanky hero from offlane. You just don't have enough resources.
Yeah, Cuckoo always seems to have a strong understanding of these very oppressive offlaners. I think that's usually what he's best at. I think it's why he usually looks pretty good on Batrider as well, and why I think he slid very naturally into the new Broodmother, which is just such an oppressive laner if you get the right kind of matchup advantage. So, yeah, I mean, like DK answers, I think you need like a better source of like less commitment damage. Percentage-based damage always helps, obviously. I think in this situation, what was the DK threatened by in this game?
Dragonite by this game? I mean, they have a lot of magical damage. They have the Hoodwink, the Luna, even some Iron Shell with Ember. I mean, on paper, I don't think DK did that much that game. I mean, he played well. It was a very cohesive team effort for that win. But he was more of a like blink stun guy than the fearsome, like, you know, those MC DKs are destroying the team fights and stuff.
I mean, I feel like that is MC. That is what MC does. Is just kind of blink stun. But he just seems to draw so much attention that it makes it look really good, right?
I mean, that's what you do.
It is what DK does, but I think one of the reasons why DK is strong is not... He has, like, different timings and different peaks, and one of those peaks is when he gets, like, the Aghanim Scepter, even some people going for, like, a Scotty. I don't think we really saw that from the DK this game. He wasn't the same fearsome hero. I mean, at the end of the day, like, he is one of the best heroes of the tournament, and even if he is reduced to a blink... What is it, like a 3.75 second stun with the talent on a like 9-second cooldown? Like, I'd be down for that to be his only spell. I think he'd still be a decent hero.
Well, we're going to find out if we're going to see a DK in Game 3, and if so, which position, who's going to play it, which team is going to get it. Let's find out with the draft panel.
am I supposed to go now?
What's wrong with you?
I couldn't hear what you said.
No one said anything, Jenkins. We spent literally 5 seconds rehearsing that and you couldn't keep it together. I forgot my Billie Eilish reference for game number 3.
It's so late.
What's one of her albums?
White Album.
No, that's the player. Billie Eilish album.
That is a player.
Okay, Jenkins, are you happier than ever? Because
No.
when we all fall asleep, where do we go?
To a better place, because I wake up very depressed.
I just don't know how you messed that up before I did.
Yeah, Effie was terrified she was going to break first, and then here you are, corpsing left and right.
I even did the robot walk.
You did. I was impressed with your commitment to the bit, and Jenkins
didn't-
just had to fuck it all up.
I didn't hear the bit. I've got a thing in my ear.
Whatever.
It's very hard to hear anything other than Dota chat wheels that the players spam.
Are you guys going to play the game? I'm so strong, guys. I'm so strong.
Please, Little Nick.
I'm not scared, bro. I'm cuckoo.
Oh, no, there they are. Little Nick, I do want to play Dota. Please, relax.
All right, game number 3. I'll be honest, we did not get to listen to the other panel. We were too busy committing to our bit.
I heard them. I
It's
listened.
a really good bit.
Okay,
Good listener.
what'd you get, Effie? What?
What?
Yeah.
I
What did the
agree-
thumb guy say?
His name is Dota Capitalist, and he's a very intelligent and nice person.
So you're admitting that he looks like a
Who
thumb?
looks like a thumb?
It's just what
Because that could have been
Jenkins calls
either of
them all
them.
day.
That could have been either of them.
I agree with the general consensus that they had, that Darkseer should have had a really good game.
Okay.
And he could have easily carried that game, but they chose to sacrifice him and put him on a 1v2 lane while they tri-laned, and he just didn't seem strong enough to doom, so at some point they were just dooming the Luna and the Ember, and I don't think that's what you're going for when you pick that hero, especially versus Terrorblade, but I'm sure they had an idea that they were rolling with when they went for the tri-lane, and they've probably talked about it or played it before, so I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes of these Dota teams, so I don't want to judge them too much for it. Just from our viewpoint, I don't understand why you wouldn't lane the ET and the Darkseer versus the Terrorblade.
Yeah, that was a little odd. It seemed like a god tier Darkseer game, but he just never really could get off to a good start such that he could have any impact in the game. It was rough. And you asked me, like, is Lelis a Darkseer player? And he is. It's weird to, like, I agree with the sentiment that it looked like in that game he wasn't. And I think, like what you said, the laning setup hurt for sure. That's aggro tri-lanes in a nutshell. It's like if it doesn't go well, it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, that's a all or nothing tactic.
It is right now.
I do think that T1 played that game beautifully, though. There were a couple of overextensions, but overall they delivered and they got the double doom, and they were just deleting these heroes, and the Terrorblade popped off. Really clean execution.
Yeah, agreed.
Now we got a game 3, draft chugging along, and a lot of the things that would be respect band managed to slip through. T1 get their hands on a Viper, and Quincy Crew get their hands on a first phase Broodmother.
So I think T1 played this Abaddon Viper versus Aster, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they completely crushed that.
Crushed them, yeah.
So this looks like an opener they're comfortable with. Viper, for me, is a bit of a soft Timbersaw in some regards. You can put him on the off lane and just sit there, and they don't really want to fight into you, and you can just build tanky items, and you force reactions from the enemy team because you can be that much of a nuisance. Also, if they do choose to play him mid, he has a really useful spell kit in the break, which is really valuable in this meta.
Yeah, denies like 1,000 different picks from getting picked up. The only strange thing is, I don't think that Viper does particularly well against Broodmother at all, and I believe they did respond with the Viper pick after the Broodmother, if I'm not mistaken. Let me
Yeah, that was the pick order. It was that first.
Yeah, it was.
Brood.
So they're really confident that in this second phase of picks, they can get something in response to the Broodmother that will deal with it quite well, which, I mean, that's a statement to me. It's not, I mean, it's not a crazy bold statement or anything to say that Broodmother can be countered by more than 3 heroes, but there are some teams that would argue that could be a mistake, or it's something that you're banking on them picking Brood, and you're confident that you have some like off-meta counter to it, you know? Because this is one of those OP heroes that I think a lot of people would assume, given your player hero pools, maybe there are only like 2 or 3 heroes that you can pick that will adequately nullify the Broodmother's game.
Agreed.
And alternatively, if T1 were just planning on railroading through their own strategy, not going to happen, because when they picked Abaddon and Viper versus Aster, they paired it with a Mag mid and a 23 Savage Lifestealer. Mag mid, or Mag in general, is going to be banned out by Quincy, and now they're wondering what is worth the final ban in this second phase. And they go with the Troll.
Okay, that's a cool ban. This is something that's been developing over the Season 2 of DPC, where people are realizing that the counters to this Broodmother character, they're not the heroes that kill spiders, at least laning counters. The way you counter the hero in the lane is she is a generic regen-based melee right-clicker, and so any hero that deals very well with
kind of like
most
Monkey
melee
King
heroes.
style.
That is
Yeah,
an
exactly.
excellent point.
Monkey King style, so Troll Warlord would be the hard counter to that sort of thing.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out. Troll is very good versus Broodmother in lane. He's not good against spiders per se, but he does completely dumpster her in lane. So that's a really good ban there.
To me,
Not much to add on to that.
to me, the most pain in the ass counter to Broodmother in the mid game is Ember Spirit. You do one slight, and you are slighting for 20 seconds straight, constantly Mjolnir proccing, and it does an immense amount of damage. And it even though you maybe won't necessarily kill an entire stack of spiders, you will make sure that nobody can stand on that stack of spiders because they will die to Maelstrom procs. It is a pain.
So they go for the ET on Quincy Crew. This hero is just really strong. There's not really that much to say about him. He's strong on lane. He nullifies armor. He nullifies magic resistance. He pairs really well with a lot of heroes. The Winter Wyvern, I'm surprised made it through.
How'd you feel about the ET in the previous game? It went up.
I thought it was a good hero, like a really good hero there, but their laning setup was a bit confusing because they tri-laned when they had 2 level-dependent supports, and they shafted the Darkseer, so I think that game looked a little bit different than how I had envisioned it. But ET is a very good hero, and in LOA's hands, it looks really strong.
There are a lot of summons on the side of Quincy Crew right now. This is definitely something that could be abused.
Yo, give me a Cuckoo Legion Commander.
Oh yeah, that sounds really good. That legit sounds really good. It would dumpster the Nature's Prophet in lane, although with an ET, that does sound pretty difficult for a Legion, just because you want to run in there and punch people, and I mean, that's literally the definition of what ET does as well as a Legion Commander, and ET does it better than most heroes.
And you would have so much save with your Wyvern, Abaddon, and Legion Commander shard.
Yeah, that's annoying. That's an annoying amount of save. Maybe it's like too much save almost. Like
I feel
doubling
like
down way too
I
hard.
feel like if you go for it, you have to go for this hyper carry.
Huh. That is bold with no magnets.
Yeah, it's been banned out, and like I said, this was kind of their strategy against Aster when they opened with Viper Abaddon, but what's going to be the steroid for a Phantom Assassin now? There's still Slardar available?
Invoker, I think, is a... Slardar would be dank. Slardar would be very dank. Invoker is really good, but then you have no... You need a hero that simultaneously deals with the Broodmother and also amplifies the PA. So Slardar seems like a god tier pick.
I think PA seems fine here. She isn't concerned about Sprout, which is something that's annoying for most carries, and they have to itemize around. Or their team can, I guess, with first offs. I know that the PA hero is very popular in the C region, and they really do like playing it, so it would be nice if she had a steroid. I still think the Legion Commander is a nice idea, but they might not have enough disable if they go with
I think you need more. Yeah, I think you need more. And if you pick Legion, they also need a hero to run in and do things.
Yeah,
all
they
of
need
these
like
heroes are +1s, right?
They need a stun. They really do.
Slardar just seems way too god tier. I think that's a really good pick here, and it's one of those most likely underrated heroes because the win rate's really high in 7K plus pubs, and we've seen people in the regional leagues pick it a lot. It just seemed to fall off for whatever reason in this tournament, but I think it could come back here.
I like it here, actually. It gives vision on Nature's Prophet when he sprouts and TVs out too, which is always good. And it'll give vision on the Broodmother maybe making it easier for PA to chase her.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the strengths of the +1s with the PA, but why pick the PA in the first place? What is she doing that other 23 Savage heroes like a Morphling wouldn't be able to do?
I personally don't understand the PA hero. I don't think that it's good. I think the win rate is incredibly low. Without a Magnus, it looks bad. And so I think either this is T1 is picking something that it's like a moonshot where they're just like, okay, this PA is going to pop off so hard. I want to play PA.
Okay.
That sort of thing. Like they're just really feeling it in this game for whatever reason. Or there is some steroid coming out. And I think it's much more likely that there's some sort of steroid because like, this hero's win rate it's one of the lowest in the patch of 7K plus pubs. The Battle Fury nerf really hurt PA, as well as the fact that everybody's playing around these 20-minute timings, and PA plays for a much later timing than that.
Yeah, in this tournament specifically, PA's been picked 5 times and only won 1 of those games.
So it's ballsy. I like that it's ballsy. I think this is really cool to be pulling out, and this is one of my favorite things about T1 is it seems like they are perfectly willing to just pick something that's, totally off meta or in meta. Like they will adapt very quickly and change things very quickly and do it very well. So this is cool.
So when PA does get a BKB, this Lion, this ET, and this Nature's Prophet will all be food for her. But will she be able to get to that BKB timing comfortably?
She's going to be able to stay alive in fights with the Wyvern and the Abaddon, but I'm with you. I don't really know how she's going to be able to kill targets, especially now that she has no steroids. It's going to be a Sand King, which is great against all the summons.
She just needs her BKB, and there are 3 heroes that will absolutely get melted.
They will
by
die
her.
in it.
They will get
Single hit.
melted
Yep.
by her.
Yep.
This hero is very high value if you want single target burst.
Problem is she might need an MKB now to deal with a Quinn
Yeah.
Wind Ranger.
Wind Ranger, sorry, you can go.
The Sand King hero, like I didn't think too much about this sort of answer to the fact that PA needs a lot of time. You think of the steroid like to farm and to just be stronger for that timing, but Sand King against the summons will delay the timing on where PA can actually farm up the Ancients. And this is a mid Sand King. Carl has been spamming the crap out of this in pubs, so he's going to have Boots of Travel incredibly early, and this early Broodmother pressure, this early Nature's Prophet pressure, if it's like 10 minutes plus, it's not happening. It's not happening into a Sand King. It's impossible. So
Right,
I really like this pick.
The Sand King is really good, but the Wind Ranger pick is also very good because Wind Ranger is a hero who likes to build MKB and deals with PA very easily. Her lane versus Viper, if it is a mid Viper, it's not. But her lane versus Viper in that case is very good, and she gets her MKB before PA can, because PA cannot go MKB before she goes BKB this game. And Wind Ranger kills her in a Focus Fire and a Wind Run. She can't really do anything. There is a Winter Wyvern and an Abaddon behind her, but she can burst through that if her Lion does jump on the back lines. So it's an interesting take to approaching the PA.
All right, let me just wrap up this tweet at Sir Action Slacks.
Is that what you did?
Game 3, Wind Ranger. Let's see how it goes down. BSJ and OD Pillow.
Thank you, Tsunami. Unlike Slacks, I'm super excited to see this Wind Ranger coming out from Quinn. 10th pick. We got ourselves a Game 3, and winner of this gets top 3 at the major minimum, Owen. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for some flashy stuff once again from Quinn. Last game we did see, even in the loss, him playing his heart out on the Ember, on the Wind Ranger, we can expect just as much action from Quinn darting across the map. And from the side of T1, always happy to see a PA. A lot of fun to be had for this hero. 23 Savage, if he's able to get sort of the semblance of farm that he did in the other games, this PA is going to be coming out with the big crits. And as the panel mentioned, a lot of lovely targets for him to commit on during the BKB. But of course, Quinn could be that thorn in his side if Quinn's able to get off to a good start, get a good timing on the MKB. T1, though, they do have pretty good defensive measures to fight around 23 Savage's PA, though. So all in all, I think we're in for another cracker of a game here, Brian.
Yeah, we did see Sand King as an attempt to deal with a Broodmother, and yes, it's nice on paper, but he has to put himself in danger consistently in order to stop these spider armies as well as the Nature's Prophet Treant armies, and they just have so much damage single target focused that I don't know if Abaddon's going to be enough to keep Carl alive, and Carl really is the barrier between Quincy Crew and the PA, who's going to need to farm up that Battle Fury, get large like you just said. Are they going to have enough time? I'm just not sure. This is exactly what I would hope Quincy Crew would draft if I'm a Quincy Crew fan going into Game 3.
Sure, what you just feel that Quincy Crew's lineup, they're going to be able to get so much done in that timing where Savage is trying to pretty much get those first 2 main items complete.
Yeah, similar game story to Game 1. This is bread and butter of the North American region. Nature's Prophet carry says it all. Lanes, lanes, lanes. That's the sheer focus with the momentum coming out of that. Early map control where they just have 3 cores because they have so much area to farm. And I was watching Leslau's stream, I believe about a month ago, and he was spamming Broodmother, and he said to his viewers, I quote, "I apologize, guys. I suck. I have to learn this hero." So he has clearly spammed a lot of Broodmother since then, as they are confident enough to pick it in the semi-final Game 3 of the upper bracket. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's learned in the recent past.
No, absolutely, and rather early in the draft as well, so some definite confidence here in Leslau, you know, from the team in terms of what he must have been able to achieve whilst practicing the hero. And well, we will see indeed if it comes into practice here, as they'll start the lane off. Him and MSS on this top against Whitemon and Savage. I mean, looking at the ways that the lanes are set up, in this bottom lane in particular, as you said, the NA standard that we've come to really sort of see its power from today, the safe lane, Nature's Prophet. A pretty easy lane for him. I mean, Viper, Wyvern, can these heroes do much against the Prophet in the lane?
Not really. They can be a bit of a nuisance, but as you can see, the Treants already has 5 denies on Yawar. That's just so much damage from his right clicks as well as the trees. They don't have very high base damage. Wyvern barely sitting at 40, Viper sitting at 55. I think Yawar with the trees has more than them 2 combined, if I could do quick maths there.
I think that your maths is pretty accurate. So definitely showing, as you say, in the way he's able to take these away. Bottom. They've got the stomp onto Cuckoo. It's going to give them time to get in a good position to get some future hits in onto the Viper. But they'll put the Fairy Fire. It's actually going to be top where the first blood will go down. They won't quite be able to get the Viper. It's the top lane. The jump's made onto MSS. As the two of them, you know, Whitemon able to enable the ability for 23 Savage to get aggressive onto these two and really break open the lane to give himself a lot of space here. You know, 23 Savage this time around, it's not a slow start. He's having no struggle hitting the creeps up there.
Doesn't seem like the end of the world for the top lane for Quincy Crew, as Leslau is out leveling both of them, and Broodmother's such a level dependent hero. Once he gets that level 6, it's going to be on Carl to rotate up there, and then it's going to most likely be on Quinn to follow him and shut down that early defense. How early can Quinn get that Javelin? That's the question. He is rushing it after the bottle. I like that they upgraded the Sand King to a mid, just because of how important I tried to talk about his role being in this game. But because they've put him mid, they're giving Windranger quite a good start. Both mid laners trading farm. Sand King doesn't really do much to a ranged mid laner. Windranger can lose a lot of matchups in the mid lane. Pretty greedy mid laner. She likes to chill and farm. Unlike her kit kind of says, a lot of these NA mid laners I've seen, they'll get that full Maelstrom sometimes before they make a single rotation. So it's really going to be reactionary from Quinn, and I know he's going to pick and choose his rotations well.
No, I mean, if the last game's anything to go by, as I say, if you sort of look at the first 75% of that game, Quinn's movement's completely on point.
I think that weakness, or not necessarily weakness, but play style preference of Windranger is complemented well by the fact that they have a safe lane Nature's Prophet. And this is the kind of stuff that Quincy Crew and EG do so well, is just which heroes, how many heroes have to be active on the map. But T1, they've shown that they can stall out a game. Game 1, even though they did end up losing, they stalled out incredibly well, and they employed a similar strategy in Game 2, and just whether or not it's going to be long enough for this PA in Game 3 is the question.
At both side lanes still, it's I guess the bottom lane really where we're seeing someone have the toughest of times. You know, Cuckoo, not too much you can do against Yawar's Prophet, this ability to reset, and Yawar's we see the denies continuing to fly in as he continues to hold such good control of this bottom lane. See mid, Carl getting aggressive onto Quinn, starting to run out of the bottle charges here. As he is just down the Freya Fire, the Javelin is out. Very, very low here, Quinn.
Yeah, I'm curious about Carl's build. He's rushing the Blink Dagger as Whitemon.
Is the shield going to be enough? It will be. Savage turns over to make sure they can't chase the Abaddon any further. And what, I mean, what is it the sort of... You're not a huge fan, or what other things would you have liked to see him consider?
Maybe boots travel to accelerate to that blink, as every time I try to talk, Whitemon, get in position, man.
I mean, this top lane, he's dancing on the edge. He's going to be able to get out. Savage, he's got no blink for a few seconds here. MSS has got the stun up. Savage, he's going to go down. As I'll get the kill on Savage, and at the same time, Quinn's getting the kill mid. I mean, just like that, beautiful synergy and timing there for Quincy Crew. Killing the mid, killing the carry in the same second.
Yeah, he got level 6 on Wind Ranger and the Javelin at the exact same time. Absolutely massive power spike that allows him to do so. And I'm concerned because once he blinks and stuns, yeah, it's great and all that you have some squishy cores like the Wind Ranger and the Nature's Prophet, but then what? Who on your team is going to give you that extra little bit of oomph to follow you up? I don't see much of that coming out. PA is going to be farming Viper, Abaddon, and Winter Wyvern. Not exactly the type of heroes that I would say are +1s for kill combos. Did he have a sentry? It looks like he was dusted.
Nice top lane now. Leslau hitting the 6. It's going to take full control of this. We see already Savage just heading away from the lane. It's not really going to put me in a place that he'll feel too comfortable farming in whatsoever. Whitemon might try and pick up some XP. We'll see Carl start to swing across as well towards the top. Maybe see if they can get the catch onto either of these two. But backup from LOA also coming in. Carl he's in with a stun, but not really much more that he can offer up. Especially with the 3 of Quincy Crew up here. T1, they've got to be careful.
Yeah, this is exactly what Carl's got to do. Now the question is, what's Quincy Crew's response going to be? Some broods we've seen just simply rotate to the mid lane off of this, but he did walk to top on Carl, so that's pretty smart of him to do because it holds his TP, being able to TP if the Broodmother tries to threaten a different lane, but Carl just trying to clear the spiders, it appears. Looks like he'll get all of them. That might be the relatively inexperienced Broodmother play coming out from Leslau there, not splitting up the spiders for the Caustic.
He's not going to want to feed too many of them to Carl. As Carl getting a nice cash boost there. Still, it is Quinn that holds the top of the charts here with the net worth. Cleaning some of the camps here from T1 as he steps into their triangle. 23 Savage trying to make use of the space that he's getting in this mid lane. We're starting to see a bit more mobility in both teams' heroes. Leslau continues to creep some farm away. MSS maybe see if he can get a setup onto one of the two of them. Got the spiders heading in. So they're not going to want to dive under this tower here, especially with level. Well, I say that MSS getting aggressive there with the Hex and the stun, but no follow-up up here from Leslau. Just keeping Carl contained around the tower. Making sure they keep tabs of the Sand King's position.
Yeah, they kind of just control the map while they're farming on Quincy Crew. All their heroes are such a huge threat, not only because of their innate skill sets, Wind Ranger with the solo kill threat and Broodmother with this a spider army just looming, but you also have the Nature's Prophet who's just jungling with the global TP and the global ulti at the ready.
Quinn, he's getting in. Whitemon, he's going to get caught up by the stun there. MSS able to catch him. Quinn, he's been Viper struck. He's out to the side of the Hex, into the Stomp here. LOA able to find the two of them. Carl, he's trying to get the epicenter going, but the damage is done. Leslau gets a second kill over towards Cuckoo. They take out the 3 of them as Quincy Crew swarm the top lane. And T1 just not in any sort of setup or prepared to defend against that pressure and collapse from Quincy Crew coming in this early around that tier 1 tower. It's just a complete trap for them, that area too, for T1.
That was exactly what I was concerned about for this T1 lineup. There's so much weight on this Sand King's shoulders to do just that, and because they picked this Wind Ranger, they are able, they will never lack damage to be able to bring him down. And they can dive so far with the Broodmother being able to free path through the trees, and that early Javelin into a Maelstrom, it's just going to accelerate him so fast on Quinn that even if PA hits that timing, I imagine Quinn will likely have most of an MKB and a BKB by that point, and he can kind of just remove 23 Savage from the fights if he does.
Yeah, there's just going to be huge pressure on the supports to try and break 23 Savage out of that sort of lockdown and focus from Quinn. It's not going to be easy indeed. Quinn having a stellar start once again. 1-0-3. He's picked up an Invis rune. He's ready to get on the hunt for more here as he starts to head to the jungle of T1. Starting to play around with Carl. The save of Whitemon. Still, we're seeing Carl really struggling to show his face there. The ult coming through nearly takes him out. They'll heal him up with a miscall. Leslau, of course, diving into the trees to look for the two of them. He's able to take down Whitemon. Carl's got to stay hidden. He's got to step away from the spider. Meanwhile, over towards the mid lane, they will be able to take out LOA in return. Cuckoo's able to manage to get in with the Viper strike.
Yeah, all three top net worths going in favor of Quincy Crew. If you're a spectator at home, I just want you to imagine if anyone on the side of T1 goes past the river, what happens to them? You know, Takarl's responsible for defending the towers. Viper would just get ganked by one support.
He's going to try. He's in with the jump on Quinn, but Quinn, he's still able to get the win run off. He's away from the four of them. They come in mid, they commit with the epicenter. They don't have enough damage. You can try. In fact, Quinn, he's ready to go back in. He's poking at them here with a focus fire. Cold Embrace onto Carl. Trying to keep him safe. Shackle not going to latch. Cuckoo turns back over towards Quinn. Another Viper strike is down upon him. He's running away, but the damage from the Viper strike isn't enough. The bottle charges. Quinn's able to bottle himself up between the ticks of damage as Quinn will live.
Okay. This seems good for T1. I would say if nothing's happening, that's in their favor. And even if a bunch of spells are casted, even ultimates from the side of T1, they're perfectly content if it's buying time for this PA.
Did have to spend a bit of time back in the base, Savage, as he walks himself out, but yeah, Battle Fury just about a perseverance away for the PA. In regards to his progress, you are getting the Maelstrom after the Witchblade. We're seeing the River Cuckoo showing himself here. Quinn's on the charge. Stomp isn't going to catch him, but you are TPing in. He will be able to set up. They get the stun follow-up. That's Cuckoo gone. Another kill for Quinn. It's Quincy Crew continuing to show that T1 have to be so careful when they show their face.
Yeah, we heard earlier that Nature's Prophet's really good at punishing Abaddon because he just lacks stuns and wave clear. And even though Viper has wave clear, he's just so susceptible to exactly what you saw there. And it's such a good pick coming out from Quincy Crew. It just pace of the game-wise. Pick off combination of the stuns from the Lion and the Wind Ranger.
Look at this. That's another catch.
Looks so easy.
Quinn's able to come around, get the grab onto Zephyr. Zephyr's gone. Quinn, he's able to turn, poke at the borrowed time from Whitemon. Slowed by the splitter here. Leslau wants to get in past the trees with the spiders. He'll manage to do so. The babies are sent in by Leslau. Double kill for the spider. It's 9 for 3. Quincy Crew will look to put the pressure on mid. Carl is hiding in the trees. Will show himself now. MSS waiting at the side. Still 50 seconds until Fingers back up. It's 23 Savage here, desperately trying to use any sort of moment to get his Battle Fury done. Still about a ring away from it. 5k down as a whole here, T1. As Quincy Crew, they are certainly hitting all the timings they wanted to here with this lineup so far, 13 minutes in. And they're not going to stop anytime soon. Immediate smoke up, Quincy Crew continuing to slam their foot down on the pedal.
Yeah, Maelstrom already complete, working on the BKB for Quinn. Once he gets that BKB plus win run is invincibility here for the foreseeable future. Whitemon looking to just tank it looks like.
Yeah, it's got the ult. That's, again, with the control, nice shackle lined up as well. Leaves no chance for Whitemon to break his way out of this. Another kill for Quinn. Top lane, they've got the setup onto Leslau with the curse. They've got Carl revving up the damage with the epicenter. Comes in, though. Goodbye, spider babies. Is it goodbye, mama, though? As Leslau is trying to fight back with the lifesteal. It is indeed a death at the end of it all. Cuckoo's got that extra bit of poison to melt through the spiders. They'll take out Leslau.
That is a very important kill, as Broodmother is non-stop pressure here, but you are doing a good job of putting another point of pressure on the map, as Carl forced to constantly follow this pressure around, as he is the only source of relief. But PA, 23 Savage, he's getting his space. He has his Battle Fury, 15 minutes, decent timing.
Absolutely, yeah, considering how much of a tough start he had on that top lane. The recovery really is being made here by Savage.
how long does he need with this Battle Fury? Will he go for the BKB, or will he be able to stall out with the Desolator? We saw last game that he was able to delay that BKB for 2 full items on Terrorblade, and just allows you to accelerate so much quicker. Looks like he's queuing up the Deso into an SNY, completely ignoring the BKB. Don't know how I feel about that against Wind Ranger with the Maelstrom from the True Strike, as well as the Witchblade on the Nature's Prophet.
Well, Cuckoo taking a big finger to the face here from MSS. Some stack builds up for MSS. I mean, I guess, yes, it's 23 Savage, just feeling confident in the backup that his supports can offer. But as you say, even with the Cold Embrace and the Aphotic Shield, there's many a bit of magic damage that will be thrown down on him. So playing going the aggressive route when it comes to being defensive. At least if he does indeed continue to follow up with the build. And I like it, you know, this is the way you want to play PA. You never want to be forced to get a BKB earlier than you want, or getting a BKB at all, you know, if you can avoid it.
And one of the most unnecessary indirect nerfs to PA was the Witchblade proc giving True Strike. It's now such a natural item for any int core to build. It gives you armor, so you're stronger against the PA, and now you're guaranteed to get that first hit off. And apparently, I read on Reddit, I trust you guys, so if I'm wrong, I blame you, is that if you are BKB,
I wouldn't do that.
the Witchblade will not proc, and though it triggers it as though it is. So the Witchblade will just give you permanent True Strike on any target as long as you haven't triggered the cooldown. So you gotta be careful of that moving forward. The Witchblade, as long as it's off cooldown, will give True Strike, and it doesn't proc on a BKB. So it, as of a few days ago, it gave True Strike. Yeah.
That makes sort of weird, you know, Dota 2 mechanic-y sense, yeah.
Smoke up.
We've got T1. Let's see what they can get. Now we've got the ults ready to go. Carl has got that level 2 epicenter, so they've got good damage to kick out. Oh, they're looking for Yawar. They're gonna find the Prophet alone. Quick jump, Yawar's gone. And did they get the grab on the items?
I don't think he got it. I feel like they stole it. Did they? Did he send it home?
I think the item drops were just what 23 Savage found, wasn't he?
Oh, I thought I saw it drop right next to Yawar there. What happened to it?
I mean, I believe you, Brian. I've not got the replay screen in front of me. I trust you. There's a mid lane. They're in on a Savage. They've got to split it down as well. LOA straight in. They've had the Hex control. They're locking down the PA. 23 Savage gets taken out. Carl, he's trying for the TP out. Will manage to make it out of there. But, wow, a bit of a fight out of nowhere, really. T1 just finding themselves caught out in the mid lane. As seems like they sort of just turned themselves off for a second. 23 Savage just, you know, for all the first 17 minutes of this game where he's been very careful with his positioning, he just gets caught out completely there.
Yeah, I think this is why Radiant Broodmother is so much more potent than Dire Broodmother, because you're naturally sitting on the top half of the map, or at least the opponent off lane, and you just walk straight into Roche whenever you have map control. And last game, Broodmother earlier on in the day, we saw it have issues ever turning the early advantage into that Roshan, which then snowballs your advantage even further. And right here, 1 kill on the PA allows Quincy Crew to do just that. And I don't know exactly when what we saw mid changes. 23 Savage kind of just died instantly to a Focus Fire plus Lion Stuns, and the SNY will help with that because you're never going to be able to react to that Hex and it just lowers the duration. But I don't even know if he can survive a 25% lower duration Hex later on.
Yeah, no, it's not an easy game for him. They need so much time, and as you say, you know, it's very clear that Quincy Crew are ticking all the boxes when it comes to just not giving that sort of opportunity and space for 23 Savage to bring this game to the point where he's going to feel comfortable. Seeing some of these huge arms flying out. MSS, he's got the blink. He'll have that easier method of catch. Yawar continuing to get as much space as he wants. Only a Mithril Hammer away from the BKB. So they'll have good front line here on Quincy Crew. Quinn as well. BKB's going to be, it's done. So these 2 BKBs are going to make it very hard for them to fight into. We see TP's coming in down bottom. They may have got the tower, but Quinn, he still wants to rock and roll. He's in onto Savage. The Cold Embrace will come through. They've got magic damage to work through it. They'll use the curse to try and hold back Quinn. Savage solo will look to get back in onto MSS. Quinn, another Shackles there.
he got enough damage for Savage? He's trying to keep on top of the trees, but Savage out again with the blink to the side, but Quinn's able to hunt him down. Double kill for Quinn. The Storm comes out from LOA. Whitemon's TP's put to an end as Quincy Crew once more just cleaning up in style. Quinn 6-0-6. They cannot handle the Quinn Ranger.
You know, something about NA Dota, I just love seeing Quinn, with the help of MSS, kill 3 heroes bottom, and somehow Leslau's also dying on the other side of the map. Yeah, but they're ahead 15-7. That's the chaos we live and die on, Owen, and that's exactly what I love to see on this stage, as it is working. And a 6K net worth lead, 20 minutes in.
Oh, you are? See ya. Out he goes. TP out underneath the nose of Cuckoo. There's nothing that can stop him.
He had the fairy fire, just in case.
Oh, Quinn. I think he might have found himself some more action, or maybe not the action he wants, Carl. He's in with a burrow strike upon him. Quinn's still got the BKB. He's holding onto it for now. Of course, still has the Aegis on top of it all. I do try, but Quinn's too speedy. He's able to break himself around it all, and he's out of there.
He's got the Boots of Travel queued up. It's such a natural progression for them. With this Boots of Travel, all 3 of the support duo in the offlane, the Broodmother, Lion, and ET, are a huge threat, because you've got the Nature's Prophet as well as the Wind Ranger by your side at any point. And just imagine when you're trying to farm from T1's perspective, that possibility is always on the table. There's the Imp-Claw. We found it. Kudos to our observer, but nobody's using it.
Yeah, I mean, are you more of a... would you follow the way of 23 Savage here with the Van Brace over the Imp Claw as a PA? Or would you take the Imp Claw? Are the stats that valuable for Savage this game?
I think you might need to take the approach of killing them before they kill you. You know, shout out to JJ for making sure we can contemplate this as probably the most important thing as we watch these 2 teams farm, whether or not... I think if this was a Suns fan cast, I'm going to do my best imitation. I don't really care about what's about to happen in the game. We have a crucial debate about a neutral item in the fountain of T1.
We might have something coming though, Quinn. If he can get the grab on 23 Savage, could be about to go down here, but Savage, he's sneaking away. He senses that they're on the way over. Nothing to be caught here. At least, yeah, MSS might still find a jump. That's Whitemon. He's in the webs they're in. Immediate borrow time. Whitemon going to make sure he gets out of this alive, but he might have the opportunity to get the shackle. They're still being careful about this. The finger of the power shot comes through. They burst through the embrace of the Wyvern, and Zephyr's save will not help out. The curse will hold back MSS, will turn Quincy Crew against their own Lion, but Yawar, he's in on the front, bullying them back up the hive, and the power shot not enough to take out Cuckoo. Oh, but the spiders! Leslau, he's able to spit from the low ground, sends in the babies, and the boom from the blast of his ultimate will take down Cuckoo through the cold embrace.
Yeah, this is just demoralizing if you're on the side of T1. They're going to have to find that one fight. Very similar, but a little bit rougher of a scenario compared to Game 1, because in Game 1, they had the Spectre who could kind of be farming wherever and look to capitalize on that global presence, but now you've got the PA. They're going to have to specifically play around 23 Savage if they want to get that damage to bring down all these. They're not necessarily tanky, but they all have their innate form of survivability. Broodmother free pathing, BKB on the Nature's Prophet, Wind Ranger, Wind Run.
Win. He's looking for the catch on Zephyr. Zephyr, he needs backup right now. They'll come in with the stomp on a Zephyr. MSS locks him down with the stun. The shield's out to Zephyr to try and get him out of there. Les now in on the front. The power shot's off the mark. Zephyr will manage to avoid it. They won't lose anyone this time round T1.
Yeah, the rough feeling that you have as a carry in this spot when you're playing PA is you're the only one that really scales in consistent damage output. So Quincy Crew can afford to itemize purely against you as the game goes on. We see it even in the draft from the Wind Ranger pick, last pick. You're seeing why it's such a good pick coming out from Quinn. But it's this sheep stick that Leslau's got queued up. Oftentimes you have to look for some aura item to buff up your team, but when you can just say, screw that one guy, we'll be good enough to take care of the rest, it makes it that much more difficult. And I know I keep harping on that for T1, how the uphill battle that they have to fight, but this is at the end of the day the situation they're in.
No, I mean, no, it really is. It's all on this PA. What can 23 Savage achieve? BKB, a recipe away. Once he has that
he's got to be early with popping it. You know, no doubt about it, every single team fight, because of how much there is going to be to catch him out. But even then, you know, the power that Quinn's built up himself, and Leslau and Yawar, these are not ever really going to be easy fights for T1 with this lead that Quincy Crew have.
Oh my God.
Not dying to the spiders here. I mean, he's got to turn, he's got to use the cold embrace. You see Quinn swing around from the side. Shackle will latch onto the two of them. They get in, they're ready to go. The splitter's coming out, they're in with the stun. They've got the lockdown. Carl's going to jump back in onto MSS. MSS keeping himself alive with the glimmer. Will manage to get the hex off. Over to the side, they've locked down Quinn. They've killed him off. T1, they'll be able to get the turnaround and take out the big old win range. Leslau, he's in the base, he's running away. T1's in with the chase. Carl, another burrow strike. They've got the lockdown. T1, they'll strike back. The exact fight they needed. 3 heroes down. T1, they'll take a team fight.
He didn't have BKB on PA yet. I'll just go ahead and put a sock in my mouth, as I thought it was going to be incredibly difficult, but it just takes, I believe, a slight overextension from MSS in there, ready to blink in and capitalize on that shackle, but he's just a tad late, got instantly burrow striked by Carl, good reaction by him, and when the Lion's out of the picture, it's much easier for the PA to enter the fight, which is just going to amp up his damage so much. As you watch here, MSS blinks in, get instantly stunned.
The back of that fight, T1, they're in a position to start getting some of these towers. The tier 1 mid should fall. Quinn's coming in. So Quinn can punish them here for this. Scans out. The T1 know that backup's coming in. Not going to overstay their welcome. Carl cleans out the wave, but he's back and away. And Savage, level 17, really hitting that max crit level and going for the basher next after the BKB to make sure he has a bit more control. Not going for the MKB this game, though, at least so far. So relying on other methods to kill off Quinn. As we saw last time round, they were able to do so with some good control from their supports. Quincy Crew, smoke up, looking towards maybe catching Carl. Shows himself on the top wave, see if MSS can get the jump. Carl, he's already into the trees. He knows they're going to be looking to make plays like this, and he's not going to get caught out by it.
Yeah, even though they're not necessarily doing anything else that appears to get them back in the game on the side of T1. Look at the map compared to what it was before. They were cowering in their base for so long, but because of that one fight, they're getting so much more efficiency than they were. Carl's farming top, the rest of the team's farming around the bottom half, one hero pushing out the mid lane. This is just such a palpable difference after one team fight. And at Quincy Crew, similar spot to game 1. One little overextension. Now they're going to have to wait for that second Rosh, and it doesn't look like T1 is going to let them have it for free.
Middle tower is under attack. Radiant are scanning.
Oh, they scanned him. That's a Radiant scan. They know they're on their own triangle.
See if they can set up for this in return. They can look to hold the high ground over T1's half of things. T1 actually look to sneak into the Roshan, but it will get scouted here. Quincy Crew know exactly what's going on.
Ambitious. Don't mind it, though.
What
if they forgot to check?
You've got to take your chances here. Huge game here, as you say, securing yourself at one of the top spots here so far at the Major. And game 3, everything on the line. Leslau, he's onto the tier 3 hit, forcing back reactions, and it will come from 23 Savage. He'll return to hold the defense. Yawar. Savage is hitting harder and harder, going for the Ags next. After the Deso BKB, in fact, changing up instead of the bash over towards the river. They've caught Whitemon. Quick jump, Cuckoo. He's coming in from the side, lays down the 5 strike onto MSS, but MSS has the Glimmer Cape to get away. Stomps out with the finger, Whitemon just getting blown up very, very quickly. Actually, this shield, he's trying to run. Is that going to be enough to save a minute? Quinn gets the last hit in. Savage, he's in with the BKB, though. Used the curse to lock down Yawar. Quinn managed to get the BKB out in time, but Savage, he's trying to chase down Quinn. Buyback comes out from LOA. The dagger is enough. Savage, he takes down Quinn. Another huge kill for the PA. Yawar's out with the BKB TP. But they've got the Yule's control onto Leslau. Daggers in. Leslau trying to run, but T1, they've got him surrounded. Do his best to juke in and out of the trees here, but another stun comes out from Carl. Leslau locked down. No lifesteal at the ready as T1 will claim another. They're absolutely doing it here in these fights here. Savage is getting the cleanup with a team fight in the bag. Straight to the pit they go, and with Savage's damage, they'll be able to take this out in no time.
I was skeptical, but man, T1, they showed in the first game how long they could stall. In this game, they're showing how well they can pick and choose their fights so carefully, as it doesn't even feel like Quincy Crew's that far out of position, but they are just getting punished so hard. Maybe a bit too many stuns committed to the Abad in there, as that's kind of his job, is to tank all the crap so that his rest of his teammates can operate without those Lion disables available. I really think MSS has to just be a bit more selective and even more patient. He doesn't have to go in when his teammates initiate like this.
Definite difficulties for Quincy Crew regarding the way these fights are going down. The Savage, yeah, that fight done. He's got cheese in the bag, and on top of the Aegis, ready for the next move. He's pretty much done to get that Acronyms complete. We'll see Big Arms as well. Cuckoo going for that MKB. This is 3,500 gold. That's going to be done pretty shortly. So these huge threats done in Amp Up against Quinn. Doing his best to respond. Wants to get the Eon Disc. Make sure he has some way of breaking out of this combo. And this initial big burst that can come out if he does get caught by a stray crit from Savage in his daggers.
Yeah, now that the game momentum has shifted, I'd love to see Leslau adjust a bit. I don't think the stun is what they need anymore. I think like a Lotus Orb to give you a little bit of armor. They have all single target initiation on the side of T1, the Curse, the Burrow Strike, the PA spells, and the Viper Strike. If you can just enable, make it a little bit more difficult for T1, make them hesitate a little bit with their Blink Burrow Strike, then it might be able to make the fights go in your favor, but we'll see what he elects to do. That's what I would go personally, but I also usually play it on the safe side, and that's not always what's going to win you games.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
He's definitely still weighing up the options here, Leslar. It's T1.
Yeah,
They've got the mid lane pushing in.
Radiant structures are
Taking towers pretty nicely here with the damage of Savage. Cuckoo with that shard. And to make sure that these buildings absolutely melt. That reduced armor. I'm going to keep pushing on it, T1. I mean, no reason not to. The Aegis on Savage. What's Quincy Crew going to do about it? They're going to have to come back for some sort of defense here, Quincy Crew. They're not going to want to let this go. He already has it. Quick heal with the Cold Embrace. Savage, they're keeping him sustained perfectly. They're trying for the split push. You've got Leslar working on the top lane, Yawar working on the bottom. So kind of bringing in a taste of what T1 were trying themselves in game one. Just looking to avoid the head-on fight here and make sure that they could do everything as possible to sort of pull your T1 apart across the map rather than fighting them head-on. The problem is, I guess, that this game for Quincy Crew is it will come eventually. They have to take the 5v5, and they just don't necessarily have that carry that's going to offer the same insane physical burst potential that Savage's PA will scale towards.
Yeah, he did go for the full Hex, so that does give him solo kill threat on the map, considering the fact that he's going to have Boots of Travel as well as the Nature's Prophet to follow him up, so he can set that up himself. I believe that's what he's going for, as we also see the PA got her Courier Snipe, so 23 Savage didn't quite have the Ags as early as he'd wanted. Gonna have to wait a little bit longer there. Curious if he decides to queue up the Nullifier against the inevitable Ghost Scepters, Eon Discs that's already on the Wind Ranger, purges the Wind Run, just makes it that much easier to focus targets. But because he has so many healers and enablers behind him, it looks like he's kind of playing for his own game rather than looking to counter the survivability of the opponents.
Yeah, I like it because I think it's, you know, as you say, even though he might not necessarily have the control and Nullifier offers, just the ability to make it very unlikely that Quincy Crew will quite be able to take him out in that initial burst attempt. You know, when 23 Savage turns and starts to fight, there's going to have to be a lot of splitting up from Quincy Crew and just running away really for the most part. So they want to avoid this PA at all costs with how strong 23 Savage is becoming. I mean, well, to be fair, it's already become. It's 15 to 19, maybe down on the kills, but the 2K lead, you know, T1 really starting to build up the momentum over into their favor as the minutes passed.
Yeah, this Ags makes it so your blur is 100% uptime. And if you look at the abilities of Quincy Crew that start the fight, they have to point click you. They have to target you. If they ever have AoE stuns, the Ags on PA can be relatively underwhelming. But assuming he's blurred, they have to blink on him, wait for that slight fade time to to come off, and he should be able to pop his BKB in that duration. It's now suddenly so hard for them to ever kill 23 Savage, and I was just talking about how easy it was earlier. Quite a turn of events.
T1, they've been able to get there. Really, nothing can be done by Quincy Crew. They have everybody alive, but no maneuver to be made to do anything about this straight-up brute pressure that T1 can now apply. As we saw last game, Savage is getting to this stage where they just couldn't deal with him, and it's really looking to be that this game it may just end up going the same old-fashioned unless Quincy Crew could catch them by surprise. Maybe try and take away those around the PA, but it's just going to be so hard to do so. The problem with the PA is as much as you can't kill her, you can't really ignore her. She's just going to kill some of your squishier heroes so quickly.
Yeah, this is just not the way Quincy Crew's lineup's meant to function. They don't want to 5v5 you directly. They want you to constantly be split up dealing with the lanes, and now that T1 has relieved a lot of that pressure, decent amount of items and the boots of travel as well up on the Sand King, it allows them to be much greedier on the map, having the superior lane pressure at all times. Yes, you are trying to get that side lane pressure to maybe deter this high ground push, but T1's already knocking on your door.
And you got to do something about it. You didn't do anything to stop them from taking the mid melee racks. What can you achieve here? Spiders being sent in immediately to their death. Savage. One quick casual tap and the Spiders are gone. There's another Rax is exposed. Quincy Crew, what's the move to be made? Carl's in, ready to kill more Spiders off. They're in with the Hex onto Carl. They try and burst him with the finger they can. They burst the Sand King. The Sand King's gone. Set up into the splitter down onto Whitemon and Cuckoo. Savage is going to turn, take down the Spider army. See if they can catch more out of this Quincy Crew. As T1 will start to back off now that they've lost Carl. Still, they have to respect this PA. Savage still ready to fight. He's backing onto Lesnar. The Hex comes out from MSS. They'll turn with the stub of the curse is there. Zephyr, he's able to get it, catch the three of them. Carl's in with the buyback. The three-man burrow strike. At the setup there for Savage to pop off. BKB's pop. Quinn, they'll kite him up. The Eon Disc is going to come to a waste. He's got the BKB, but Savage, he's chasing down. They turn with the Hex into the stun. Cold Embraces there, keeping Savage safe. That's Quinn gone. No buyback on him. Leslau also to fall as T1 turn, focus the Spider. They've got no buyback on the Brood. Quinn, he's back in. They'll have to defend though, 4 versus 5, and T1, they're pushing for more. They're ready to go towards the tier 4 towers. Now look, okay, they'll go for the Rax first. Make sure that they clean up a second set. 20 to 20, the kills even all Savage. Trying for the TP out, they will be able to cancel this. Over to the side, Quinn's caught Cuckoo. It's a big kill onto the Viper.
They're hitting tier 4s.
They're going to jump back in on this. It's another buyback. They are going for the pressure here from Yawar. Zephyr's going to be in with the defense though and back in the base. That is the Lion gone. Quinn, he bought back for this, but they closed the gap. Quinn's gone. Yawar tried his best efforts to put the split push on, but the amount of damage that T1's coming in on this mid. Now Yawar's doing his best, but they close the gap with the Burrow Strike. They keep him hidden with the Glimmer Cape. Savage is being careful about how he jumps in. He's got the BKB back up in a few seconds. Savage, he's in, he's ready to go. Savage commits in onto Yawar. Ultra kill for him. Yawar, he'll buy back, but he's the last man left standing here for the side of Quincy Crew. He's given it his all, Yawar. Can he hold this game? 1 versus 4 right now for the next 40 seconds at least. Yawar has achieved amazing things in the past. Can he hold the base here alone? He's got BKB back up. He's got a big ult coming through. Savage he's trying to close it. Yawar dealing with the creeps, taking the aggro away. He's got this Ghost Scepter. He's giving it all here. Yawar trying to take T1's attention away from the base, but T1, they're not faltering. They're focusing the towers. They're looking to get the game end before any of the other heroes are back in action. The second tier 4 falls. 5 seconds until the Lions in. Yawar throwing his body in. He says, please look towards me. Ignore the Ancient. Take the fight. But they're not doing so. They're focusing the Ancient, closing the game up as T1 will get the victory here. The game of 3's theirs. The series is theirs. They're moving on, staying up here at the upper bracket, Brian.
Yeah, guaranteed top 3. That's quite a showing for them here. And I'm impressed with these SEA teams. I haven't gotten the chance to watch them too much during the TPC season, but the way they play the map and avoid fights is just masterful. I love watching it, and the fact that they didn't fight for so long, and then the 2 times they fight the entire game, they manage to get like 3 for 1 in their favor. With that much of a deficit is just incredible to watch.
I think it's just sort of the ability as well to just, during the draft phase, identify what sort of carry is gonna do it the best for them when they want to play this style. And yeah, we really did see this pretty much 3 times here from T1. The first game, not quite working out. Quincy Crew, they find that ability to break through T1's attempt to draw out the action. But in these last 2, T1's performances around 23 Savage, it's this sort of robust control and strategy that, as a team, you perfect this, to the level that T1 is. This takes you all the way to the top. You've got to come in with some fantastic ideas to try and break down a team that's just clearly mastered this style of getting the win secured, Brian.
Yeah, both these teams showing promise. I'd say a little bit of slip-ups here and there, but you can see their own style, and I love to watch the uniqueness and how they match up against each other on this global stage. And, these games, they just never stop they never get old, man. I love watching how each team has their own take on the meta. Each region seems to kind of be bouncing off each other's ideas. We see a lot of similarities between EG and Quincy Crew. I see a lot of similarities between T1 and TNC, and we're going to throw it to the panel to discuss Game 3 in that series.
ODPixel and VSJ, indeed. T1, they do it. They secure themselves a top 3 finish here at the AniMajor and have earned themselves the right to face PSG.LGD in the upper bracket finals tomorrow. But let's talk about this game first, because I want to go back to when we were watching the draft. I think it was you, Curtis, that was not too convinced by the Viper pick straight after the Brood pick from Quincy Crew, correct?
Wasn't me. Dodged that one, but I think in theory.
Yeah,
in
Curtis,
theory,
that's really weird that you would say that.
It actually wasn't me, but
okay, it legitimately was me, and I
okay.
All right, here's what happened.
Yes.
Right? They picked up the abandoned first pick. All right, we know it's going to be an abandoned Viper.
Yeah.
They respond with Broodmother, and I'm like, oh, can't go that abandoned Viper anymore, can you? And literally those words are coming out of my mouth, and all of a sudden, boom, they pick up the Viper anyway. I didn't think that it was a good idea. Theoretically, I feel like the single target nature of the Viper does not do well against Brood, but they managed to come up with other answers, and I like the fact that they were winning this game on their own style and their own play. Like, they just trusted in Cuckoo's Viper, who stands alone.
Oh, he dominated on this Viper, even though he was against that Broodmother. I gotta comment, I really like how Cuckoo plays this Viper. I think a lot of offlane Vipers, they try to make the hero into something that it's not. They'll buy Atos, you run around the map, you have 275 base MS or something, maybe 280, and you're trying to catch people. That's not what Viper is about. Viper is about his poison attack. He's a damage dealer. Cuckoo, he builds this Tread Dragonlance, already 2 of the tankiest items in Dota. He's able to frontline for his team, and because of his items, they're able to break the base. If he goes for this Atos style, 100% they lose this game.
Yeah, and just look at the way that they built the rest of their draft around him as the Viper, right? Like Carl playing more catch, Winter Wyvern, more catch on top of that. Like they build around the fact that they want their Viper to be a damage dealer by shoring up on the fact that they wouldn't have the best initiation from their offlaner, and they get it from other sources.
I gotta say, I'm really impressed with T1's macro play. I think that's sort of what they're already known for in the C region. I know I'm sort of skipping ahead here, but I'm excited because LGD, I've been really impressed by their map movement and macro play too. And T1, they looked like they had the same level of patience in this game. They were down gold, but they were always looking for the correct fight, and they managed to bring this game back because of that patience.
I mean, the first 20 minutes of this game, it felt like this was Quincy Crew's game to lose.
It did.
And the fact that they can turn it around, yeah.
This was, I've talked to Slacks about his Windrunner hatred issues, and I feel like this is the game that he describes, where the Wind Ranger is just owning, and eventually you die and the game just falls apart.
Yeah, this was such a lineup that
he
was...
mad.
Yeah, it looks like he was not very happy with the way that game ended up. And, I mean, you got to feel for him just because they did have control of that game.
Yes.
But again, their lineup could afford very few mistakes, and that is something that T1 did a good job of putting pressure on Quincy Crew, not just in the draft by picking up this PA, but also the way that they did play very defensively around their tier 2s and waited for that mistake of Quincy Crew to appear.
Yeah, and Quincy Crew, of course, with this, they're not eliminated. Like, They're going to the lower bracket, but they have to face up against Vici Gaming. That's not going to be an easy opponent for them for sure. But this series, T1, yeah, it was an incredibly strong showing, and partially due to the persons joining us right here. Hello. Oh, welcome to the ramen shop. I have a microphone for you. Sorry, no actual food, unfortunately.
Okay.
Congratulations,
So
Zephyr. no, this is. I'm standing on actually
We're
an
all
elevated
just like little
platform.
kids, and she's the only adult in the room.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Congratulations, Zephyr, on the series, first of all. Great showing. I'm curious, that third game, it was looking a little shaky in the first bit, but were you guys confident that you had it the whole way around?
From the start, we know like our game is so hard, but we understand our team fight is so much better, and that's why we're so confident.
Yeah, and I mean it looked very good indeed.
I would love to know your thoughts on the Viper pickup. You guys opened with the Abaddon. When you saw the Broodmother, was there any hesitation that you were going to still go for the Viper there, or did you feel good just working on what you guys do best?
Actually, I'm not really sure, but my team, especially Cuckoo, is like he can play so good.
Okay.
Viper.
So you just kind of like trusted in your teammate. Cuckoo's like, I can do this, and you guys trusted him and believed in him.
Yeah, even we get like in the lane,
Yeah.
it's so hard against ET and Viper, but Cuckoo still playing good.
Awesome.
So I personally really like C pubs. Do you like C pubs?
Yeah, I like it.
Do you think that the quality of the pubs contributes to how many good players we've seen come out of the SEA region?
I think so, but in C, because I play in Europe, like in C they vocal more. They keep talking about like, can we go, blah blah blah. But in here, we just keep smiling face.
Wait, one more though. Have you played NA pubs?
Never. I think I play. Yeah, I play.
You played?
Yeah. I think I play.
Do you hate NA pubs?
Actually, no, because
He
when
hates
I
NA pubs.
actually when I going to NA pubs, I just keep ganking mid. Then suddenly DGG.
They just give up, right?
Yeah,
that is
Tell
true.
the
That is
enemy
true. It
mid.
is fun.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
I mean that works. That is the strategy at NA pubs. What are you thinking about the European pubs that you're playing here?
What?
The pubs in Europe, are they good? Are they bad?
Their skill is very good. I think maybe better than C, but it's like gambling also. Sometimes the 500 is really good. Sometimes it's the 500 is like so noob and just angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's me. Yeah. Okay, I've got one more question for you. Southeast Asia, there's so much talent in this region, right? There's so many good players that come out of this region. How does Southeast Asia retake the like top dog spot you used to have like way back in the day in like Dota 2 days? How do we get Southeast Asia that TI win? Do you feel like there's been something missing? Do you feel like it's leadership? Like that was my theory that there's we need like more leaders coming out. March is a good example of that.
I think so. They are lacking leadership, and I think the knowledge also in the game. I think C is kind of lacking. If you compare to Europe, I think Europe is better because so many experienced players, and so many big team also.
Yeah. Well, you guys are certainly leading the charge. You look great out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to look a little bit ahead with you because, of course, now you're going to face up against PSG.LGD tomorrow. And you guys have been here for a long time. I can only imagine that you might, and you don't have to tell this if you don't want to, but you might have scrimmed PSG.LGD?
Yeah, we scream.
How did it go?
Secret.
Fair.
And the scrims overall that you've been feeling confident, you're confident going up against PSG.LGD tomorrow? You learned enough?
I
You ready?
think we're very confident because we're so comfortable playing. Like even me, I can feel like my teammate trust me so much, so that's why I'm so much confident.
Okay, well, you guys indeed, as Cap said, you look great out here today and guaranteed top 3 spot here at the Major. So congratulations again. I know it's late. We're going to let you go celebrate with your team and get some well-deserved rest.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And I mean, they did look amazing.
They did
we can
look really
see,
good.
I mean, we can see why they made Aster look like a terrible team.
Ooh.
I mean, they did. They did.
Yeah.
Their decision making
is just, I mean, it's on point. They showed here. We could take a look at the brackets as well, see where that leaves T1, see where that leaves Quincy Crew as well, of course, on the receiving end of T1's wrath. We have the full upper and lower bracket visible here. Today, we sent 2 teams home, by the way. We had 2 lower bracket series. We saw Team Spirit and TNC eliminated. And with that, we also have guaranteed beastcoast, a TI slot. Now there's only one team that can knock Thunder Predator out of TI, by the way, and that's Team Nigma that we saw lose earlier today against PSG.LGD as well. They are going to face up against Evil Geniuses. It's going to be an exciting series, that one. That is an incredibly hyped series. And yeah, just now, Quincy Crew dropping down as well, meaning we have an upper bracket finals. That will be the final series of tomorrow, PSG.LGD versus T1. And then the first 3 series of the day, they're all in the lower bracket. So we're going to send 3 teams home. You know what's crazy? 4 of those 3 teams, I mean, my math is correct. 4 of those 3 teams are also playing tomorrow. There's only one going to be remaining by the end. Am I mad?
What'd you just say?
There's 4 teams. There's Nigma, EG, Quincy Crew, Vici. By the end of the day, there's only one of those 4 left.
Okay. Like 3 of the 4 teams are going to
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's going to be one of those teams moving forward, and they will face the loser of T1 versus LGD in our final day.
The hype day.
Yes.
Lower bracket final.
We have 6 teams. We're cutting it down to 3. That's a rough day.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at those names, right? Evil Geniuses, Nigma, Vici Gaming, Quincy Crew. Like, saying one team is going to survive, I feel like I'm watching the wildcard bracket all over again, where I'm like, wait, only 2 of those teams are going to go forward here. Only one of those 4 is going to be making it through. It's going to be a very fun day tomorrow.
It is indeed. I want to touch on one more thing before we close out the day, because we've been saying Quincy Crew and T1, they're the only 2 teams still left from the direct seeds of the playoffs in this tournament. Now that we've seen them play their second series, we have a little bit more data on them. AY, what are you thinking? How do they measure up against the other teams still in the tournament?
I think I've seen a lot of posts about how Nigma and LGD are looking better than the playoff teams, but I think a lot of it is some like stylistic bias. I think how T1 played a map in particular is actually really top tier, and it's like not easy to see that in their games. But we saw in their Quincy series, like I don't think Quincy played bad in that series. I think T1's understanding the map and just their timings. It's weird. It feels similar to LGD's to me. I think we'll have a really good series from them there. I think the format is weird for developing the playoffs team's own meta, but I think these 2 should put up some good showings.
And don't worry, I'm a dumbass Redditor, so I'm going to say I think LGD does look a bit stronger right now, and expecting them to walk away with that series.
I think they look a bit stronger too, to be honest. But I think it'll be a fight. Like coming into it this series, I thought LGD was like guaranteed to be in the finals. I don't really think it's a freebie anymore.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think T1 certainly. I feel like in some ways, whenever I get these post-game interviews, I gain a little bit more confidence. When he responded that they just trusted in Cuckoo's call, that it gives me a certain amount of confidence that they believe in their own style of play, and I think that's important if you want to be able to have a championship run. Right?
So of the other 5 teams still in, does T1, is that the team that has the best chance of taking the series, taking the championship away from PSG.LGD? Because it's at this point it's like PSG.LGD o'clock. I feel like every time I have a conversation about how the teams are doing, is PSG.LGD is the best, and they have been looking the best. Don't get me wrong, but
I think
someone's going to challenge them.
The team that is most likely to be, let's just say that LGD does manage to win tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go on to the grand final.
Yes.
Of all the teams, I feel like it's actually between EG or Nigma. That series, whoever moves forward there would be my bet for who would be the team most likely to take down LGD. Nigma mostly because they've already beaten them once, and Evil Geniuses mostly because they've shown a fair amount of versatility from Singapore Major and now here. I feel like they've got 2 different styles they can employ, where they have shown that kind of aggressive fury on 3 semi-core type lineups that is very run at you, and they've also shown relying on our tour carry. So I think those are my 2 veteran teams who in a best of 5 can walk away with the win.
All right, favorite moments of today. I could tell you mine right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
when I outed AUI for calling Tree Protector an annoying little shit, and the reaction on his face, that's my favorite moment today.
Been exposed. What's your favorite moment?
My
Gina?
favorite moment was sitting in the green room during the series PSG.LGD versus Team Nigma, and having on one side, somewhere in the room close by, having Mo, manager of Team Nigma, being incredibly loud for the most tiny plays that his team did well, even if they didn't play out well. And then on the other side, it was Away with his guys being loud in
They were really having
they were just
a mental
really having
warfare.
a mental warfare. I love that, and I've missed that. So, and then of course after at least game 2, we saw also Team Nigma. They didn't win the series, but game 2 they definitely popped off. I like that. That was my favorite moment of the day for sure.
I think it's always good when Dota players show some emotion. It really shows that like they've put so much work into these moments to get to the stage.
Yeah.
And the passion, like when you start winning these matches, the passion just comes out and explodes. It's really beautiful to see.
It is incredibly beautiful to see. It's going to be hopefully even more beautiful tomorrow as we have more series to go through before we can crown a champion. 4 series again tomorrow. Starts at the same time, so I know you won't be late because the first series of the day is EG versus Team Nigma. We'll see you then for more AniMajor.